He's the voice of Mack the Truck in the newly released Pixar movie Cars 2. Please welcome He's the voice of Mack the Truck in the newly released Pixar movie Cars 2. Please welcome John Ratzenberger, joined by Toyota's Start Your Engines contest winner, Tammy Lee, as they deliver the most famous words in motorsports.
God bless this great country of ours.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
Nothing like that magical sound. Time to put them on track and let them race. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. Good afternoon from Wine Country. NASCAR on TNT. Proud to bring you live coverage today of the Toyota Save Mart 350. We are coming to you from the Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. And yes, once again, the weather picture perfect. Temperature 74 degrees, not much humidity, and a slight breeze out of the east. It's going to be gorgeous all day long. Good afternoon and welcome again, everybody. I'm Adam Alexander. Certainly glad to have you with us, and two of the best when it comes to road course racing, Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach. So let's go through the driver checklist, Wally. Keep it on track. Take care of the tires. 11 turns, some left, some right. What is the biggest challenge?
I think this weekend, what I've seen, especially in a lot of the practice sessions, is the guys that set their cars up soft today, I think is going to be key, because this place is so hard on tires. We talk about it all the time. There's no grip. There's no grip. And a lot of guys they like to race cars rigid. I love my race cars very, very stiff. I know this guy over here loves the soft race car. It's just it's driver preference. But I think the guys that have it hooked up, it's all about setup today. Everybody does a good job. There's a lot of good racers out here, but I think it's going to come down to who's got the best. And what you have today, you're stuck with. You can't make too many adjustments in pit lane to help forward bite.
And Kyle, we talked in Countdown to Green about how physical things can get here. Yeah. So what's the balance of patience and aggression for a driver?
I think you have to be really patient the first part of the race. You have to keep your car, just as Wally said, on the racetrack. Keep the tires on it, keep the brakes on it, keep it on the racetrack. So if I'm looking at the balance here, I'm looking at 90-10. We're going to be patient for about 90% of the race, and then we're going to be ungodly aggressive for the last 10% of the race. And I think we see it every year. When it gets down to the end, it's push come to shove, and a lot of people get pushed out of the way.
And one thing everyone wants, track position. And the man who's got the best to start this race, that would be one Joey Logano. Coors Light, the official beer of NASCAR, the proud sponsor of the Coors Light Pole Award, given to the fastest qualifier in each NASCAR Sprint Cup race. This week's Coors Light Pole Award winner, Joey Logano. He picked it up here on Friday afternoon. It is the second time he will lead the field to the green in a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race. Joining Joey on row number 1 today would be Jamie McMurray. He's won a pole here before, so he knows what it's like to start up front at Sonoma. Row 2, a guy looking for his first win, Paul Menard, and a man who won the last race last week, Denny Hamlin. Row 3, Ryan Newman, pretty good road racer, and Casey Kane, who won this race 2 years ago. Row 4, a couple of guys looking for first-time wins today, teammates Marcus Ambrose and A.J. Allmendinger. Row 5, Boyer and Vickers. Boyer making his best career start on a road course this afternoon. Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson share row 6. Of course, Johnson won this race 1 year ago, leading some 55 laps. Jeff Gordon, the best ever when it comes to road course racing in the Sprint Cup Series. 9 times he has won, 5 of them coming right here. And look who he's right beside, the man he knocked out of the way last year, Martin Truex Jr. Brad Keselowski, good in practice, in fact, the quickest in happy hour. And Mark Martin, a man who has gone to victory lane 4 times in road course competition. Juan Pablo Montoya got his first career win right here at Sonoma in 2007, and he won the last road course race in August at Watkins Glen. Kyle Busch got out the broom on the road course circuit in 2008, winning both here and at Watkins Glen. And Tony Stewart, 7 career victories on road courses. Bobby Labonte, the 2000 Series champion, driving the car that nearly went to victory lane here 1 year ago. And Greg Biffle, a car that many had their eye on in practice over the weekend. Carl Edwards, never a top 5 here at Infineon. The point leader got some ground to make up this afternoon. He shares row 12 with Regan Smith. And then there's Jeff Burton, a man who needs something to get his season turned around. He's on row 13 with his teammate Kevin Harvick, who was solid here in practice over the weekend. Casey Mears not bad on the road courses, and Robbie Gordon, second here last year, swept the road course events in 2003. David Gilliland made his career debut here a handful of years ago, and his best career finish came here in 2008. David Rudeman, Joe Nemechek share row 16, and Matt Kenseth back in row 17 with his teammate David Reagan. So we told you, Jamie McMurray starting on the front row. As you see the rest of the lineup, we hear from Jamie Mack. Kyle going to try and dial him up.
Hey, Jamie Mack, this is Kyle Petty in the booth. Can you hear me?
I got you, Kyle.
Hey, man, great qualifying run. We've watched you guys all week long, and I think we've heard you say it a couple of times. You were fast when you unloaded, and when you're fast when you unloaded, you just keep building on that. Are you pretty comfortable talking to the guys? There's only 4 or 5 teams that have figured out this tire, and they're pointing at you guys as one of the teams.
Yeah, I mean, our McDonald's Chevy has been good right off the truck. They did a great job with, unload with a good setup, and we've had good speed all weekend. It's man, this race is really frustrating because sometimes it comes down to fuel mileage, and sometimes it's just staying out of the trouble. So if we have a mistake-free day, we should be here at the end.
All right, man, I know a lot's been going on in your life with Missouri and everything down there, and good luck to you guys today, man, and make it through that first turn. I saw your interview before the race started, dude.
Yeah, that was a pretty calm Kyle Petty interview. I appreciate it.
So we wish Jamie the best of luck here this afternoon, and as we get ready to go green, we send it down to the pit lane one more time. Ralph Shaheen gets us going.
Adam, Kurt Busch has never won on a road course. However, he's come close. He's led here at Sonoma on 4 different occasions. Now, crew chief Steve Addington tells me the tires are going to go away about 20 to 25 laps in. Race handling will be brutal, but he says that's when his driver is at his best. And Marty, he thinks that's going to be their advantage to maybe getting that win here today. They're going to start 11th, Marty.
Well, Ralph, as we've mentioned, Jimmy Johnson won this race last year. They brought the same car, same exact setup, and Friday in practice, it was terrible. They are really chasing this brand new tire. In fact, I talked to Jimmy before the race, and he said, that old Days of Thunder quote, loose is fast? He said, that's not the case here. He said, we've been loose all weekend, and we have been very slow. So some major changes to the 48 car today, trying to make it better, get more forward bite. Off of the corner, we'll see if those Chad Knaus changes will work. Chris?
Well, Mark Martin was a safe bet back in the 90s, racking up 4 wins on the road courses. But in the last 10 years, the competition has really raised their game. Talking to Mark this weekend, he said this track has really changed, too, with the double file restarts. It's given it a short track feel. Now, there are some teams that are saying this is going to be a 2-stop race, but Mark's saying tires are going to be key on the restarts. So look for the 5 to come to pit lane early and often, as Mark Martin is going to be searching for grip. Larry?
Well, Chris, if you want to take the trophy home here today in this 110-lap race, you better be thinking about your moves on pit road the entire race right now. And quite honestly, if you're starting at the rear of the field, your strategy will have to be different from the guys that are starting up in the front of the field if you want to make up that track position. Matt Yoakum, I think you're with one of those crew chiefs. He's starting back at the 26th position.
Larry Mack, 2 of the last 4 winners here, started 26th or worse. So that's good news for Gil Martin. Gil, a big task at hand. If you could write the script, what needs to happen to get your car to the front?
Historically, this Rheem Chevrolet is pretty good on the long run, so I'd like to see maybe an early caution, an extended green flag in the center, and I think it'll come down to that late race caution like it always does here.
All right, Harvick has a win at the Glen. Would love to score one here at Infineon. Adam?
Thank you, Matt. When we left here 1 year ago, we had so much to talk about, and the anticipation has been outstanding for this race. And we are closing now on the green flag. 219 miles. This is a 350K, 110 laps around this road course. Pit road speed 40 miles per hour.
And that pit window is going to be different for everybody, like Larry was talking about. I mean, there's going to be a lot of different strategies here today. And one thing we haven't talked about is just a tire strategy. A guy that just keeps coming in for tires and not even worrying about fuel.
Front row, Joey Logano, second career pole. Jamie McMurray to his left. We're ready to put the green flag in the air and go road course racing. The Toyota Save Mart 350 underway at Sonoma.
close Menard almost took a few guys out there, but very, very good through. Usually we see a lot of carnage here in this first lap in this first corner, but everybody so far got through clean.
Yeah, good job. I thought Menard was going to give Jamie room to get in line, and at the last minute he stuck his nose up in there.
Down into turn 4 for the first time this afternoon. Clean for the first 5 or 6, and then they go double file.
And this is the best the track is going to be and the best the tires are going to be. So it's going to be, it gets more and more difficult on these double file restarts as we go on today.
Yeah, and we'll add, this is the calmest the drivers are going to be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little antsy to get up there, don't get me wrong, but nobody's made them mad so far.
Joey Logano sorts out as the race leader. Right behind him, McMurray, Hamlin, and Newman, the top 4. Into turn 11 for the first time under green.
See Jeff Gordon down there trying to make a move on Montoya. And this is the part of the racetrack. If you can be on somebody's right going up the hill, if you can hang there, it puts you in a good position in the right-hander at the top of the hill. It's awfully slippery out there.
It really is it's slick. It's incredibly slippery, incredibly slick. And you mentioned it yesterday when we were doing the qualifying shows. This racetrack, when you go through that corner and when you go through the last corner right before you get to 10, it becomes a one-groove racetrack. You can't go through there too wide. You can go through there maybe 1.5 wide. So it takes that zone away from you a little bit the longer the race goes.
Exactly. If you're going to do it early.
You constantly, as a driver here, Wally, got to be thinking about what the next step is. If you're working on what you're doing right now, you're not going to get where you need to be. That turn 7 right there. And turn 7 critical because it sets up all the speed downhill through the S's.
Yeah, and what you're trying to do on this point, I mean, this is basically, most of this is all follow the leader. What you want to do is try to get as close to somebody's rear bumper through this section. So when you come out and you make this next little right-hander, you've got somebody set up. We got a guy dropping some wheels off. You got a guy set up here, like the 2-car Keselowski. That's perfect. He was on the guy's bumper. Now you can try to outbrake somebody going down into this right-hander.
That's Keselowski inside of Martin Truex Jr. to grab the 15th position. Kyle Busch lurking behind.
And Wally described that perfect. That was a textbook move. He set him up. That pass happened 3 corners before they ever got to that corner.
You're basically using the whole S's to just try to get as close to somebody as you can.
Brad Keselowski quickest here yesterday in final practice. As we pointed out, he got around Truex for the 15th spot, and his teammate looking pretty good early as well. Kurt Busch running 7th right now. Logano started on the pole and has led the first couple of laps. That's Logano leading, McMurray right behind, Denny Hamlin there in 3rd, and here's a pass for position. The aforementioned Kurt Busch inside of Paul Menard in turn 7.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, the pit reporters said as they went around the track at the beginning of the show and showed the passing zones. Everywhere that our guys showed where there's a passing zone, we've almost seen a pass in almost every one of those zones so far.
And I want to go back to a little bit what we were talking about on setups. Kurt Busch's car, he, in my opinion, yesterday in practice, was the best car that had a stiff, what I thought had a really stiff and rigid setup. So it's going to be interesting to see how his car works further into these runs.
Here's Denny Hamlin working over Jamie McMurray for the runner-up position.
And to get back with that, I think you're better in the first 5 laps with a stiffer setup, but it's going to be a lot better when you have a lot of laps on these tires if you have a softer setup like that one car has. And also Boyer, I think Boyer's car looked really good yesterday as well.
Kurt Busch looks good on track right now, Ralph. What are they saying?
How about 5 positions in 3 laps? Yeah, Kurt Busch is flying right now. That 22 is really coming up through the field pretty strong. Started 11th, already up to 6th. He said the cart's a little tight in all areas, but Wally, I got to believe that's exactly what you would want right now to help with that forward bite.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be all about here, Ralph, is that getting off these corners. And now we see the 11 got by Jamie McMurray right there.
Yeah, and I think the 11 got position and Jamie just led him. And here we are, you know, four laps into the race. These guys are just trying to still fill out their stuff. And I think it goes back to what you said. You talk about Jamie's setup appearing to be a little bit softer, to be a long run setup. Maybe it's not a short run setup.
2 things that help, certainly. Confidence and track time. Joey Logano ran the K&N Pro Series West race yesterday and won. He starts on the pole. I mean, all those things put together, the track time and certainly the confidence he's gained have got to help.
Yeah, that helps a ton. I don't know what the 22's got, but he's picking up a position about every lap or two.
Yeah, I think confidence,
I don't know if it's confidence.
Not a problem right there.
Not a problem for him right now. Not a problem for Kurt Busch.
And you and I talked yesterday about Kurt and the fact that there is a certain mentality you have to bring to a road course if you're going to be successful. No doubt about it. He's got it.
Yeah, he does. And let's be honest. Let's go back to qualifying the other day. He was the fastest car in practice before qualifying. And he was the fastest car until he got to turn 4, then missed turn 4 and tried to make it all up in turn 3 and then lost everything. But he had been the fastest car at the racetrack, and that's still been a top 2 or 3 car almost every practice.
See Greg Biffle on track, David Gilliland right behind him. Matt Kenseth tucked into line, looking good early. Started back in the 33rd position, but he has worked his way up near the top 25 in the early laps. We should point out, sometimes we talk in races about big movers, and it's guys that are up 10, 12, 15 positions. You don't see that as much at a place like Sonoma, especially early in the race, just because it's so hard to make big gains here.
Yeah, if you can pass 7 or 8 cars, you're a big mover on a road course at this place.
Talk about guys moving forward. One car going in the wrong direction. It's Brian Vickers, Ralph.
Yeah, the quote was, so loose, I can't keep the car beneath me. And Kyle, that means that thing is just slipping and sliding every direction but straight, which is not what he needs to happen here on a road course today. Just can't keep the thing moving forward.
No, and it's not. I mean, you know, when you've got a car that you can't pick up the gas and you're just buzzing the rear tires, and we're 6 laps, so these things started on sticker tires. I can't imagine what that thing's going to be like at 22 laps and at 24 laps. And you've got your hands full. And we talked about this early in the race. This is not the kind of place where you have a lot of pit stops and a lot of places to make adjustments. You have what you have sometimes.
Vickers started 10th today. Great qualifying run, but he's fallen outside the top 20. Joey Logano continues to lead early at Sonoma. Joey Logano started on pole, led the first 5 laps, and then his teammate Denny Hamlin said, I want my turn, and he got the lead in turn 11.
Yeah, Joey left him plenty of room, and I really think that Joey probably saw that he was coming and just probably gave him the spot, because the 11 was definitely a faster car at that point.
And since making the pass for the lead, Denny Hamlin has stretched his advantage to more than 2 seconds. So what are they saying in the 20 camp, Matt?
Back and count down the green. Joey Logano said his biggest concern, like everyone else, is trying to keep enough forward bite on exit as he's getting ready to lose another position now to the 1 car McMurray, and that's what he's fighting. 2 free on exit. And Greg Zipadelli just wants him to settle in. He knew at some point he would get stuck back in traffic, to settle in and run his own pace. And Wally, a big thing he needs to do is get a nice little cushion between himself and McMurray, so that way he doesn't miss his marks.
Well, he's got a little cushion there, Matt. It's just the opposite way right now.
Yeah,
it's not the cushion that Joey wants. You know, Joey, I think you're right. Joey's just lost a little bit of his forward grip. He's lost a little bit. That 22 car is coming. He was wearing the bumper out, Kurt Busch was, on that 1 car, being very patient. I don't mean he was banging on him. He was just being very patient. And when Jamie got around the 20 car, then I think Kurt, he's got to go now.
11th to 3rd for Kurt Busch. Ambrose on the move early as well. Time now to check in on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew Award. Here's a look at the standings following last week's race at Michigan. Smoke, Menard, Harvick, Gordon looking good in the season standings. And fans, AT&T wants to know what you think. Text the car number for the pit crew you think will average the least amount of time on pit road in today's race to 234-567. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, is getting faster with 4G. And speaking of getting faster,
yeah, it was just a matter of time. I tell you what, the 22, just watching it, he has got really good forward bite in that car. That's what I'm looking at is where he's killing these guys right now, is getting up off the corners.
Hey, and his car rotates good. Yeah. When you see him right in the middle of the corner in those slow corners like that, he just turned left up under Jamie and had that position coming off of turn 4 to take it over in turn 7.
Just behind these guys, you got Marcus Ambrose, who nearly won this race a year ago, and check him out getting into 7, Wally.
Yeah, and this is a typical thing down there. When you run in that hard, he went in that extra 2 feet that you just, it difficult to get past there, and you lock up the tire. You know, it's not that big of a deal. He did it right. You don't want to drag that tire too long or you'll flat spot it.
And at the same time, Joey was giving those guys plenty of room and got caught on a dirty racetrack and locked up his tire.
We talked about Kurt Busch, 11th to 2nd. And you got to mention Marcus Ambrose as well. Worked on that car hard yesterday. He started 13th today, actually outside the top 10, and moved his way up to 5th. And you see the guys that are on the move. Andy Pilgrim, Andy Lally also on that list.
And I think what, you know, getting back to what Matt was talking about, I think what Zippy's looking for the 20 is, he's got guys all over his rear bumper right now. And I think what he's trying to do is trying to get in a spot where he's by himself, where he doesn't have that pressure. But he's got guys all over him, and he's losing a lot of spots. And he locks up, and I'll tell you what, he's got too much front brake in that car right now, because just about every time he goes down into a braking zone, he's locking up the front tires. He's got to dial a little bit of rear brake into that car.
What are they saying, Matt?
That's exactly what he just told Greg Zipadelli. I don't know what is going on. I'm barely touching the brakes, and they are locking up at almost every corner.
But now let's be honest here. You know, we talked about this yesterday in the second practice session. Were these guys going to go run 8, 10, 12 laps? No, they didn't. They just went out and run 4 or 5 laps at a time. There were 3 or 4 guys that did. What happens is you don't get your brakes up and they continue to stay in the same place heat-wise. You build them up and they come back down because you come in a couple laps. You build them up and they come back down. So for an extended period of time, when they get hot, they work a little bit different, and he just needs to fine-tune that part right now.
Juan Pablo Montoya lurking just outside the top 10, Chris.
Yeah, Wally said earlier, typically road racers like a stiffer platform, a stiffer car, and that's the direction that Juan Pablo was headed on Friday, but they just weren't getting the speed out of that car. I talked to Brian Patty right before the start, and he said yesterday they ended up putting the setup from the 1 car on the 42. Juan Pablo didn't particularly like the setup, but the stopwatch doesn't lie. Car a lot faster. Ralph?
Well, the 16 is in. The temperature was getting hot. They're going to pull some tape off the front of the car, and you can see them working on the front nose of this car, trying to get it. It's pushed up in the grill area. He's obviously run into the back of somebody or hit something out on the racetrack, guys, and that is messing up with his cooling in that race car right now.
Greg Biffle making his first pit stop of the day at lap 11. Strategy, a big part of what you see here at the Infineon Raceway, and it's already began for that 16 bunch. We may have a battle for the lead when we return. Kurt Busch closing in on Denny Hamlin. The Toyota Save Mart 350 rolling on at the Infineon Raceway, and we have a new race leader. A couple of laps ago, Kurt Busch working on Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, he sets up nicely here in 4. And I think Denny realizes he's just a sitting duck at this point. Kurt Busch has just been on a roll.
So much for our theory, Wally, if there aren't big-time gainers at road courses. It took Kurt Busch 13 laps to get the lead after starting 11th. He has been amazing. All right, fans, get ready, because it's time to go online to NASCAR.com/TNT Million and enter to win the $1 Million Fan Challenge. You have until lap 27 to get your picks in, or if you've already made your picks, you can make changes. You pick the top 10 finishers in today's race in their correct finishing order. You got a chance to win up to $1 million.
You do it here, and you have deserved it. You deserve it. That's going to be a tough call.
There are always 3 or 4 in the top 10 here that you really can't anticipate.
No, but you know, if I remember correctly, last year when we played this game, somebody got like 6 or 7 of them, 7 or 8 of them, and it was a total
last week at Michigan,
at
we had someone get 7 in the top 10 and 5 in the correct position. Here's Marcus Ambrose, started 8th and working on Newman for 3rd right now, Marty.
Yeah, Adam Marcos moving to the front, you know, and it's funny, they went and tested twice at Virginia International Raceway, but they didn't really go the right direction. They came here, were totally thrown for a loop by the brand new tire. Marcos, in fact, told me, quote, "We were totally unprepared for this new tire." So, Kyle and Wally, you can sometimes test, but if you're going down the wrong road, those tests won't really lead anything. So credit to these guys. They have worked on getting this car better, working with this new tire, but sometimes when you test guys, it doesn't actually work out, does it?
No, and it doesn't. And Jimmy Johnson on the rig this morning, you know, I asked him, how do you personally prepare for the racetrack? And he said he watched videos, he listened to stuff, he visualized. He had some old footage of watching races and stuff. But he said, we didn't do a lot of testing this year because we knew the tire was changing, and we couldn't get ahead of that without the proper tire. No matter if we went to VIR or we went to Kershaw or some of the places, you just don't get that same feel without the construction.
Yeah, explain. When they change a tire on these cars, it's a totally different setup feel. I mean, it's not just a little bit of a change. It completely, you'll start from scratch.
And a lot of times on these cars, like we have here in the short track carcass that they use, the flexibility in the sidewalls, when they change the construction and you get a sidewall that'll really roll over and take that lateral bite and take that, then that's a different tire than a tire with a stiffer sidewall. And when they change it just a little bit, totally changes how your car rolls and how your car feels under acceleration.
Good shot of Casey Kane.
Talked a lot this weekend about underrated road racers. Jamie McMurray, good qualifying run in the 9th position right now, and this is Casey Kane just in front of him in 8th. He won this race a couple of years ago, finished 4th here last season. Let's bring in our crew chief, Larry McReynolds. What do you have, Larry?
Well, Adam, on a passenger car, there's one master cylinder for all 4 wheels. But on a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series car, it's almost like 2 systems. You have a master cylinder for the front brakes, you have a master cylinder for the rear brakes. Now, you heard about Greg Zeppedelli, Joey Logano's crew chief. He was sliding the front tires. He was telling him to adjust some rear brake into it. Now, there's not a lot that a NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver can adjust in the race car except the front and rear bias. So what he'll have to do is reach over here and crank a little bit of rear brake into it. But what you've got to be careful, that will calm down sliding the front wheels, but it'll also put too much rear brake into it and make it loose getting in the corner. A lot of times what a driver will do, he'll put more front brake in it with fresh tires and a full load of fuel, and then start cranking a little bit rear brake into it as you get on into a run and burn that fuel load down.
Is that a pointer or a magic wand that he had? I don't know what that was. Impressive, though. You could tell he made it.
We get a headset.
Arts and crafts class.
He gets all kinds of toys. Number of drivers have already made pit stops here today, and Juan Montoya, the next to join the group at lap 18, Chris.
Yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya not happy with the car right now. He's saying he has no forward bite. He actually thinks that the rear sway bar might be broken in the car. It's also running a little bit hot, so they're going to take some tape off the nose of the car. But if he's got a broken rear sway bar, he's going to have a long day.
Montoya's service is complete. David Ruderman, Greg Biffle, Brian Simo, among the drivers who have already made pit stops this afternoon. Oh yes, strategy going to be big. Back at Infineon Raceway, and the plan starting to play out on pit road, Matt.
NASCAR's all-time winner on the road courses, Gordon, is in. Track bar adjustment already completed. So the car absolutely plowing through the center of the corner and extremely loose on exit. Air pressure change as well. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick pitted 2 laps ago. They made a big air pressure change to help his forward bite.
Saw Kevin Harvick flashing by Jeff Gordon there. Other drivers who pitted while we were away: Jamie McMurray, Mark Martin, Bobby Labonte, Matt Kenseth, Jeff Burton all in for service. Like Robbie Gordon was in for a stop, so a number of drivers in early under green, and adding their name to the list, Denny Hamlin, his first service of the day at lap 20, Ralph.
Denny Hamlin is in. We expect 4 tires. Everybody's going to take tires every chance they can get. Fuel going in as well. No call for any chassis adjustments here, Marty.
Jimmy Johnson hit pit road. He was funny on the radio. He said this car doesn't do anything good, but we're going forward, so I guess leave it alone. Very slight air pressure adjustment. It's a little bit too tight, but not bad for Johnson making his way forward, Chris.
Clint Boyer was running 7th when he came in. Slight chassis adjustment, lowering the track bar, trying to get a little bit more forward bite. But other than that, he's happy with the car. Ralph?
Waiting for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to make his stop here. He has been dealing with this race car. They're going to make some chassis adjustments with this one, Matt. He's not very happy with the handling. 4 tires of fuel, of course.
Allmendinger already away, Ralph. Chassis adjustment completed. He needed a lot of help. His forward grip absolutely gone away.
Everyone knows how they want to execute their plan today, and we are starting to see the various versions of strategy play out. Top 10 cars on the racetrack have not made a pit stop. Some of the cars running in the top 20 who have: Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, and A.J. Allmendinger. Fans, you voted at NASCAR.com/power rankings, and today's Pizza Hut fan favorite driver, Jeff Gordon. We'll watch the 5-time winner here at Infineon all day long and keep you apprised of his progress.
Give up on the race car.
Marcus Ambrose going to make his pit stop at lap 21. Marty, here he comes.
Comes to his pit stall already in here, Adam. They've already changed the right side tires. Car a little bit too tight for Marcos. It's an air pressure adjustment, and that's all for Ambrose, who was very happy with it, especially at the end of the run. Further forward on pit road, Kyle Busch comes in. His car a little bit too loose, like a lot of guys here on pit road, and a quick stop for that 18 bunch.
Tony Stewart has also made a stop. And then you see Brian Vickers on pit road. I hope our pit reporters brought at least 2 pencils today.
Yeah.
Because one's not going to get it done, I don't think.
And pads, because I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of different strategies that will be playing out within 4 or 5 laps of each other. And while all this is going on, that 22 car is still just pulling away. Yeah, I mean, he has run some incredible lap times to come from where he started as 11th and drove up to first place.
But with all these strategies and the way they're going to play out, it's still going to come down to when that last caution comes out and where you're going to be in track position. It's almost like there's no plan that is it, or all plans are a good plan depending on when the yellow comes out, because that's the gamble you're shooting for.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Larry back in here to explain some of this at some point in time on sections, whether you stay longer the first time, shorter the middle, longer the last, how you divide this race up if you're doing 2 or 3 stops.
And we should point out, Kurt Busch leading not because of strategy, because he drove to the front. From 11th to the lead, what is their thought process on strategy, Ralph?
Well, that's why he's staying out, because of strategy, Adam. You know, this is a time where a driver really has to believe in his crew chief. Steve Addington just jumped on the radio and said, I know everybody's hitting pit road, but we're staying with our strategy. Now, we don't know what that is just yet, but here we are closing in on lap 23 going in the books, and they're staying out on the track. We're going to know what that strategy is here momentarily. They can't be going too much longer, I wouldn't think, guys.
But they really are forcing everybody else to make a strategy. They're the best car on the racetrack, and they can run if they can stay out long and still put the laps on the board. Everybody else has to do something to catch them.
Yeah, but watching some of this stuff, some of these guys, Montoya just run a 1:20.15, and Kurt's last lap was 1:21. We saw those guys. So that's the difference in tires. But at the same time, some of these other guys have pitted and they're caught in traffic. They're running 1:21.13s, 1:22.20s. I mean, they're not gaining on Kurt, even though they've got new tires.
A good majority of the cars have pitted. The top 5 in the running order have not. Kurt Busch, your leader. Kurt Busch continues to dominate at the Infineon Raceway. Ryan Newman was running second. He pitted while we were away at lap 23, and that put Martin Truex Jr. in the runner-up spot. Marty?
Yeah, he was running up front for a while, and I think a lot of guys are surprised that on old tires, a lot of guys are able to keep up with the guys who have brand new tires on. For Truex, extremely loose, several air pressure adjustments, and kind of a slow stop. Took him a while to get over to the left side. Truex revving the engine, takes off out of pit road.
So now all the drivers inside the top 10 have made a pit stop, except for the ones running 1-2. Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski, teammates at Penske. And did you know the first Sprint Cup Series win for Roger Penske came in a road course race? It happened in 1973 with Mark Donohue behind the wheel at Riverside. He was the last road course ringer to win an event in the Sprint Cup Series. Fans want more TNT coverage? The Coca-Cola in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with the Coca-Cola Racing family of drivers. Check it out on NASCAR.com's Race Buddy right now. And I'm guessing plenty of people riding with Kurt Busch, who right now has got a stick out and he's beating the competition over the head with it.
Yeah, I'd be riding with him too. I'm going to tell you, but just to try to see. If I were the other teams, I'd be switching over to his Race Buddy camera and seeing how he's getting around the racetrack.
Yeah.
Because he's in a totally different zone than a lot of these teams are. I mean, I don't think we can convey to people at home how difficult it is to drive from 11th to lead this thing in the first 10 or 15 laps of a race when everybody's got their good stuff and everybody's pumped up.
It's all going their way right now, Ralph.
Well, and they're talking on the radio about trying to go all the way to lap 31 before pitting. And remember, I said at the beginning of the broadcast, Steve Addington, the crew chief, said after lap 25, the handling in the car is going to be absolutely brutal. But he also felt that his driver could handle that, and that would be their ace card to play today. If Kurt can handle this car when the handling is terrible, and they can go to lap 31, that's going to be a strong strategy and very tough for everybody else to deal with.
The one right behind Kurt Busch, David Reagan, a lap down. To get second place, you see Kurt going up through turn 1, and here is his teammate at second place, Brad Keselowski, just entering turn 10. Matt?
Adam Keselowski has put so much effort into his road course program. He went up to Road America in Wisconsin twice and to VIR in Virginia just to try to work on his road course talent. It definitely has improved. He was top 15 in qualifying. Right now, he is just soldiering on. The lap number is 32 for this team. They're hoping to make it a two-stop race. He says, grip-wise, we are much worse than we were on Saturday in final practice.
The thing about that is they leave him out for another 10 laps. That's going to shave off about 20 seconds off his lead. Not off of Brad, but I'm looking at Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's picking up 2 or 3 seconds a lap. So I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting to see if that works in the long run, this strategy, because he's losing a lot of track time right now just because of the tires.
33 cars on the lead lap, and here's a good battle right around 25th. In fact, that's Bobby Labonte around Greg Biffle for the 25th position. Burton and David Gilliland also right there. They are way behind Kurt Busch, like more than a minute. The race leader got it going on early at Infineon. And gorgeous pictures from high above the Infineon Raceway in wine country, Northern California. Kurt Busch could crack open a bottle of wine right now. His advantage over second place Brad Keselowski, nearly 20 seconds, Larry.
Yeah, what I'm seeing here, every driver, it appears, other than Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski running 1-2, they've made the commitment to make this a 3 pit stop race because of when they pitted. But it looks like me, and I heard a report a while ago that said it looks like that the 2 and the 22 are looking at a 2-stop race. I talked to this group this morning in the garage area. They're getting about 3.9 to 4 miles to the gallon, and that was at a faster pace than what we're seeing now. If you do the math, that's 39 to 40 laps. If they do indeed run to lap 31 or 32, which is only a couple laps away, that means they will be back on pit road around lap 71, and they'll be able to go the distance. It almost looks like the Penske group, and the only thing that would kill them, guys, is cautions. They have made the commitment to make this a 2-stop race.
I can see that happening. The only thing that I've noticed here, Larry, and again, it's just like you said, it depends on where the cautions come out, but he's lost about, I'm not looking at Keselowski, I'm looking at Hamlin, because he's the first guy to change tires, and he's lost about 9 seconds, 10 seconds in the last 7 or 8 laps to Denny Hamlin. So he's losing a ton of track time right now. But again, you're right. It's really just going to come down to how these cautions fly.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know about Brad Keselowski because, he's 19 seconds behind Kurt Busch. In fact, Denny Hamlin is only 3 seconds behind him in the 11. But I think when you've got a car as good as what this 22 is, you can almost do this. I'm looking back up at the S's. Looks like to me, Casey Mears, the 13, may be out of gas, which would be a bad deal for this leader right now, Kurt Busch.
Yeah, it sure does look like he's out of fuel right now. Now he's got a long way to go to coast down to make it to the entrance of pit lane.
Mears a lap down, but he's one of the other drivers that is yet to make a pit stop. He and Joe Nemechek had not come to pit road as of yet. And here comes Kurt Busch to make his stop. It comes at lap 32.
That was a good call because they saw what was coming.
Sometimes you have to call an audible, Ralph. Here he is.
All he has asked for is a little air pressure adjustment to the front tires. Everything else about the number 22 is good for Kurt Busch. Steve Addington told me this morning, I do think he can do this on 2 stops. I just don't know if it'll play out that way. The changes to the tires are completed, and Kurt Busch is ready to go. Fuel man saying, we're all in, let's go.
And right behind him, his teammate, Marty.
Patiently coming down pit road is the 2-car. Brad Keselowski had his team up on the wall waiting for him to hit. This is the lap that they wanted him to hit pit road. Air pressure change definitely on the Blue Deuce. No chassis adjustment scheduled for Keselowski. Like we talked about, they are playing the fuel mileage game. Remember, this is the team that won on fuel mileage a few weeks ago at Kansas. They're waiting on fuel, making sure that fuel cell's packed full, and he's away.
And now Casey Mears limping, trying to get...
He's not going to make it. I mean, even if he makes it, he's going to be stopped in pit lane, so they're going to have to throw the caution on this.
Exactly. I'm surprised he made it as far as he made it. He would have made it farther, but he did the right thing. He got over in the dirt and got over in the grass and got off the racetrack to give the lane to the racers.
Caution's going to be out.
First caution of the day. It comes out at lap 32. Things have cycled through. Denny Hamlin now the race leader. Kurt Busch is ninth. We're back in Sonoma, California. Under caution for the first time today, 35 laps in. Denny Hamlin, the race leader. Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Robbie Gordon, David Gilliland, the top 5. Time now for the KFC Trivia Quiz. Please put on your thinking caps. Who is the only driver in NASCAR history to score his first career win right here at the Infineon Raceway? And I think this is easy. We'll give the answer in a moment. The only driver to score their first career win here at Infineon is the leaders make their way through turn 7. The lights go out atop the pace car, indicating we will get the green flag the next time by.
He cuts us off at this point.
I know he does.
When he knows we know the answer,
yes.
He all of a sudden
won't even look
busy.
at us.
Yeah.
He won't even look at us.
The top 5 cars, in fact the top 6 in the running order when we restart, did not pit here under caution at lap 34. The first to make a pit stop, A.J. Allmendinger, who will restart 7th. And look at some of the names now inside the top 5. Robbie Gordon, a runner-up here last year. And then you got David Gilliland, who recorded his best career finish right here at the Infineon Raceway.
Robbie, he'll make things exciting up here.
Today's green flag restarts presented by American Ethanol. American grown, American made, powering NASCAR.
I tell you, I would not want to be on the outside on this restart. We talked about it earlier, going up the hill. Yeah, there's a lot of rubber and a lot of dirt out there. And I'll tell you what, when you get into that stuff, you just go sliding.
Saw it yesterday with McMurray in practice.
In practice. This is just one of those places where
all right, bud, come to the green.
And I'm surprised Hamlin took the outside.
Pace car is off. It's all yours.
Hamlin, the race leader, has the choice, inside or outside. That's Kurt Busch to his left. Green flag goes back in the air as we complete lap 36 of 110.
Tell you what, if the 22 hangs him out there a little bit and gets that stuff in the... Pretty even right there. I'm shocked how good these guys can do on these first couple of corners.
I'm not sure with Kurt Busch lane mattered. He just had a superior race car there.
Once he rotated through that top of the hill on turn 2, he just drove that short shape. And Denny probably gave him a little room this early in the race also.
So Kurt Busch grabs the race lead. He pitted under green at lap 32, anticipating the caution that we eventually got. Denny Hamlin running second, last pitted at lap 20. Give you an idea of the varying strategies we're playing out here.
Montoya trying to make a move on Kyle Busch in the 18. In a good spot, going down 11. Oh, that's going to leave a mark. Wow, he stayed off the wall. Oh, he locked it up.
Vickers around.
Vickers locked it up, and he gets into McMurray. Newman spins around.
Dale Jr. got a piece.
And you know what? That really all started with Kurt Busch and with Kyle Busch and Montoya.
We got the local caution, and now we get the full course caution. Yellow out for the second time today.
When you come around that corner and you're back in the pack and you see that dust, you don't know where that car's going. The 18's off in the dust. There's dust. They don't see anything. Everybody begins to check up, and then Vicker gets in a little bit quicker.
Kyle Busch, Montoya racing for 13th here.
Yeah, and Montoya just you know, he didn't give Kyle a whole lot of room. He bullied
anything.
him off the racetrack on that deal.
And look at it from this angle. As he's off, think about you being in one of these cars back here behind. You see, but you're coming through there.
But see, I think Vickers just went in way too hot. He was way hot in there. He had no chance of slowing that car down for that corner. Not with that many cars in front of him.
It was Tony Stewart right behind Vickers, and now we ride on board with JPM.
Still out there. Still out there. Still out there all the way.
He's way out there now.
You're all clear.
Vickers he had no chance.
Clear, go, go.
Yeah, I wonder if Tony pushed him into him, though.
Could be, yeah, right
Look
there.
Look at him, he's on him. That's not Vickers, that's Tony Stewart right there.
Looking at that angle, exactly.
Stay left.
No wonder Vickers got in.
No way, yeah.
Come on. Keep coming.
Yeah, no wonder Vickers got in there so deep. Tony shoved him about an extra 4 car lengths. So that's all Tony pushing Vickers in. Vickers is an innocent bystander. So was the one car of Jamie McMurray.
Vickers was 18th when he got turned around. And Jamie McMurray was in the 17th position. They're both outside the top 30. And speaking of Jamie McMurray, let's go on board with him. He had a front row seat, didn't he?
Turbo 1.
And he thinks he's good at this point, and then all of a sudden he gets hit in the back and he's around backwards.
This is a perfect example, though, of what can happen at this place. Riding along, minding your own business, and then all of a sudden you're back in traffic because you get turned around like this.
My God, Vickers has got the wheels locked for 20, 30 feet, the front tires. You see Junior get into it, and there's no place for these guys to go. These guys are still coming in, getting into each other.
Doesn't seem to matter what happens at Infineon. We always end up talking about turn 11. It's made its first headline of the day. "39 laps complete here at Infineon. Kurt Busch, the race leader. Denny Hamlin running second. Martin Truex Jr., David Gilliland, A.J. Allmendinger, the top 5. Under caution for the second time today. Listen to what Brian Vickers had to say.
Was that Tony? He just plowed right in. He just pushed you all the way in there. And Tony just flat dumped us, man. He was on you 20 car lengths before the corner and just pushed you all the way in there. Yeah, I'm well aware of it. I felt it.
That's good stuff. Told it exactly like it happened on the track. Time now to take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Brought to you by Sprint and Evo 4G, America's first 4G phone. Let's talk about the Busch brothers. We will start out with Kyle. He's got the fastest speed of the race, 144 miles per hour clocked in earlier today. And his brother Kurt has had the dominant race car, leading the most laps at this stage of the event. He's been out front for some 22 circuits. For more NASCAR stats, live in-car audio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the Evo, only from Sprint, at sprint.com/speed. We will complete lap 40 as they continue to work to pick up debris. They're going to add a lap, and then we will go back under the green flag. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on pit road. Vickers and Biffle all cleaning up mess from this caution. Set for the restart. We'll put 41 laps on the board when we go green. Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch on the front row. David Gilliland hanging in. He joins Martin Truex Jr. on row 2.
Green. There, left side, still there.
Kurt Busch shot out of a cannon as he goes into 1.
Yeah, and he needed to, because he needs to look at the groove right there. Very, very narrow, but these guys are getting through pretty clean.
They have been incredibly patient at that turn, at the top of the hill all day long.
It's usually such a big accordion going through there, and that's where you see everybody running into each other. Of course, it's early.
A.J. Allmendinger taking advantage of the slower David Gilliland, and Clint Boyer going to get a piece of the action as we head into turn 4. Boy, this is a great shot, huh?
And you saw Gilliland come from the outside lane all the way over to block that inside lane, so no more cars could freight train him at that point.
Keselowski off in the dirt.
Brad was running inside the top 10. As they come down the hill, he will get knocked outside the top 10 as Marcus Ambrose gets by him. Denny Hamlin sideways for second.
Truex again.
Again this year, man.
In the exact same spot.
To the top side. The 43 got into the 11.
Running up front.
Keep coming.
I'm going to lose about 10, 15 positions off that deal.
Last year he was mad at Jeff Gordon, and this year he's got two guys to be mad at. AJ Allmendinger and Denny Hamlin going at it, and it's Truex who pays the price. He was running inside the top 5, and when they came across the start-finish line, Truex 22nd.
Yeah, it looks like the 43 obviously got into the 11 car. Got into Truex. Take a look at this. Is a good angle here, and I think Denny just slowed up a little bit more than the 43 was anticipating.
And typical chain reaction. I mean, we've seen it like 2 starts in a row. We've seen that.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he's going to lose a lot of spots.
Yeah.
And look at this. I mean, Kurt Busch is
in a league of his own right now.
Just got the restart, and his advantage is already 2.3 seconds to second place AJ Allmendinger. And you know, Clint Boyer, a guy that isn't known for road course racing, but his results have been good, and he's going to go to second place right here on the inside of Allmendinger in turn 11.
Yeah, Boyer's one of those cars that looked really, really good yesterday in practice, and you know, Clint's just steady around this place. He doesn't really claim to be much of a road racer, but he's got some great finishes here.
He has great finishes here, and you talk to him about Watkins Glen, and he's like, I don't even know how to get around that place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Truex did have to make a pit stop after that spin, likely flat spotting his tires. He's still on the lead lap, but scored back in the 35th position. And now we answer the KFC trivia quiz. The question: who is the only driver in NASCAR history to score his first career win right here at Infineon? This in Sprint Cup Series competition. The answer? Wally, you got it during the break. How about 4 years ago? Juan Pablo Montoya getting it done right here. He had some issues early in this race, but he's back where he needs to be, inside the top 10, running 8th right now. For Jamie McMurray fans who are excited about him starting up front today, he got in that skirmish on our last caution. He's now 24th, still on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got a piece of that action. He's now 27th. Brian Vickers is 29th. And today's Goodyear Superior Performer.
Wow, Hamlin and 43 again.
Going to be Tony Stewart.
And Tony got a great run up off of 10. You saw Tony make that run and get around Montoya right there.
Tony Stewart, for good reason, our Goodyear Superior Performer. He's running 8th today, and he's a 2-time winner here at Infineon. 7 wins all time in road course competition. Here are 2 fun guys to watch go at it. You got Tony Stewart you're riding on board with in 8th, and right behind him Montoya, who he just got around. These are 2 guys that understand what it takes in a place like this.
And Stewart's car right now looks like it's got a lot of rear grip. The thing's getting off the corners really well.
The back bumper beat up for Tony Stewart. He was using the front bumper a while ago when he got Brian Vickers.
Trying to diving in. Barely clear. Good job.
Denny Hamlin's now slid back to 6th. He led a couple of laps early today. In fact, 12 circuits after he went by his teammate Joey Logano, who started on the pole. And to give you an update on our pole sitter, Logano is stabilized back in the 13th position. This is a great battle from 6th on back.
Yeah, I think
we're going to make that one work.
No, that was not going to work for Tony, but he's got a good run right here. Denny got off that corner bad, which made the 4 car, Casey Kane, have to check up, and Tony wanted that position bad.
And you can see, obviously, he's a left foot breaker. Those pedals are really far away from each other. Than normal, because if you are a left foot breaker, you can move that pedal way over. It's a lot more comfortable driving with your feet straight.
It's a lot more comfortable when you're just driving with 2 pedals. All he has to worry about is gas, brake, gas, and brake. When you drove and you learned to heel and toe, everything was right on top of each other.
See, He's just laying that throttle down easy, trying not to buzz the rear tires, getting off the corners.
These three guys running together, Kane, Montoya, Kyle Busch, have won 3 of the last 4 races here. Kane got it done in 09, Montoya in 07, and the man who won here in 2008, Kyle Busch, who right now has scored 10th.
Kyle Busch taking a look underneath Montoya. That's a tough pass, trying to outbrake Montoya.
Yes. Montoya, his car must not be working too well.
Kurt Busch looking good. A 1-second lead over Clint Boyer. Jimmy Johnson, David Gilliland, Denny Hamlin, the top 5. Closing on halfway in the Toyota Safe Mart 350 at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. Under caution for the 3rd time today. Had some debris over toward the entrance of pit road, and so NASCAR has put the caution out. And when the caution came out, look, Dale Jr., it's hot in that race car. He came to pit road, all kinds of issues. He was involved in our 2nd caution, and you can see the 88 Chevrolet going to the garage. Brian Vickers also involved in that accident a while ago. You see he was on pit road. 36th is where he has scored. And Juan Pablo Montoya and Chris.
Yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya has been searching for grip all day. He said the car really falls off early in the run. You can see all the fenders on this car pretty much banged in and rubbing on the tires. So this tire change could take a little bit longer. But Montoya is saying, I need more forward bite. Brian Patty saying, let's lower the air pressures again. Ralph?
Well, Denny Hamlin was not happy with the 43 of A.J. Allmendinger. He's got damage to the left rear quarter panel and out to the left front fender. They went 1 round up on the track bar, Marty, and put 4 tires of fuel.
Ambrose already gone. He came to pit road. They said, come if the guys come in front of you. He told his crew, you've got to think about doing something with this car to tight 1 round down right rear, Matt.
And A.J. Allmendinger already complete his service as well, Marty. A couple different adjustments on the 43 of Allmendinger. He was getting killed through the S's. He said the car was absolutely so free, he could barely turn the wheel, and it would start to come around.
These pit stops coming at lap 48. Denny Hamlin making that stop. First time he had made a stop since lap 20. Chris Cook gets the free pass. Leading the way, Kurt Busch. And now we get an AT&T fastest pit crew update. Let's take a look at the teams that have spent the least amount of time on pit road today. And there it is, Brad Keselowski. Good work by his team. His Kurt Busch group right behind him, and David Rudiman not bad in the top 4 as well. Don't forget to vote by texting the car number for the pit crew you think will average the least amount of time on pit road in today's race to 234-567.
And Rudiman's sitting up in the 7th spot right now.
And that reminds me that there were a number of cars that did not pit under this caution. In fact, when you look at the running order right now, the top 14 cars stayed on track. And some of the guys that were running inside the top 10 but elected to pit, here's where they will restart. A.J. Allmendinger 16th, Newman in 17th. David Gilliland's had a good day. He pitted at lap 48 here. Will restart 19th. Denny Hamlin 20th. You got Montoya and Ambrose just outside the top 20, as well as Casey Kane. Kurt Busch the race leader. Clint Boyer second. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski. The front 3 rows as we get set to go back to work. The green flag goes in the air as we complete lap 50.
Kyle Busch in the 18 did not get going that time. Boyer's going to try to run it up, stay up beside him, and if he does, he's got the corner if he doesn't blow across in front of him.
Clint Boyer getting it done, diving in front of Kurt Busch.
very impressive there. That was pretty strong.
That was a strong move by the 33-car Warrior. It was a muscle move. He just muscled around him.
Well, you've been singing his praises all weekend long, and he's on point for the first time today. Fourth different leader we have seen in the race. Wow, Stewart went wide there in 4. Welcome back to the party. Jamie McMurray involved in that accident where he got turned around. He's back inside the top 10. Haven't talked a lot about the point leader, Carl Edwards, today. Of course, this weekend, he was scheduled to come here and run, practice and qualify the Cup car on Friday, then head to Road America and run in the Nationwide Series yesterday. Car wasn't good on Friday. He said, I'm staying. I'm not going to race. Billy Johnson got behind the wheel of the Nationwide car yesterday for Jack Roush up at Road America. Carl's work paying dividends, although he gets kicked sideways here. Edwards running 9th right now. Marty?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. was sitting on pit road with the hood up for a while. What happened?
Oh, we was just out there running around, and we made the car better, but went to the first stop and had a big old mess getting into 11, and we jumped in there and got part of it and banged up the nose a little bit, and I think we knocked a hole in the radiator and ended up hurting the engine a little bit. So I think the engine's done. So it's got a hole in the side of it anyways. Normally never good.
Usually a hole in the side of the engine's not good. We'll see you in Daytona. Adam.
And disappointment for Dale Jr., who had completed all but 8 laps this season prior to what you will see today. Kyle Busch going at it with Matt Kenseth there.
I think the spot Truex is trying to take advantage of it.
Poor Truex the last couple of years has just gotten used up out at this place.
Yeah. But it's amazing to me how quickly things change. You got McMurray and Truex both running in the top 10 that were involved in accidents that were not their fault at all. Patient a little bit, and all of a sudden it cycled through, and they're both inside the top 10. Here's Kurt Busch to the inside of Clint Boyer. That for the race lead at lap 51.
I mean, anybody's got anything for that 22 right now.
They haven't shown it as of yet. We're 52 laps into the race and nobody's shown it. But you know, what happens is sometimes when you look at those guys, like the 1 car and the 56 car, they've been in accidents and it's cycled the way it's cycled because other guys are on a different pit strategy. Other guys are doing stuff. So they look good right now and then they may disappear at the end of the race. How many times have we looked at the rundown when this race is over and said, I didn't talk about that guy all day long.
Yeah.
And there all of a sudden he finishes 4th.
See Martin Truex Jr. on the move. Inside of Matt Kenseth, he gets the position, and behind Kenseth now is teammate Carl Edwards, who's thinking about making something happen.
Well, Edwards almost got into the back of the 17 car right there.
Truex at one time running back in the 37th position because not only did he spin in turn 11, if you remember, he had to make a pit stop. That stop coming at lap 43, and now he's rallied back to the front.
Oh, Joy giving Robbie Gordon a little shot right there. I think those guys got into it going to 7. You see the 11 car. We talk about coming back through the field. 11 car is just mired back here.
He restarted back around 20th position. So, Larry, we're 52 laps into this thing, closing on halfway.
This ain't over yet. Hang on a second.
Look at that. Joey Logano sending Robbie Gordon for a ride.
And like Kyle pointed out, this started way back there, you know, about a half a lap ago. And I think Robbie rubbed up Logano when he went by, and Logano just said, no, I'm kind of getting tired of it.
See if Robbie's waiting for traffic to clear before he pulls away, and I don't know if he's going to pull away or not. Yep, he's going to pull away. No caution as of now.
Yeah,
orange and orange.
Right, and you see Logano's behind Robbie right here.
This looks like a Tennessee inter-squad football game, and the teammates don't agree on this one.
And you'll see Robbie go down and make a huge, block here on Joey. Now, this wasn't where it started. This was just this incident right here. This incident right here.
It started
back in 7.
It started back in 7 on this lap. Joey just didn't let it develop any farther. He's like, I'm taking care of it now. And you got to give him tip of the hat to Joey there for it. I mean, all he did was push him down in the corner.
Joey, the pole sitter today, running 14th, right behind his teammate Denny Hamlin, who's made nice progress since that last caution when he made a pit stop. So, Larry, now here we are, just about lap 55, so right at the midway point of the race. What observations do you have in regard to strategy?
Well, when I look at Kurt Busch, our leader right now, and his teammate Brad Keselowski running in the 6th in the 2 car, they've been out there the longest. They have not been on pit road since lap 32. It's already been well documented. They plan on making this a 2-stop race. But honestly, when I look at drivers like Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, they were on pit road at lap 34. As long as those drivers can go about 38 laps on fuel, I think with the 3 cautions we've had, everyone is on a 1-stop race to finish this race off.
And Larry, how much of that for guys like Boyer, Johnson, and Kyle Busch, is their hand been forced by the Penske guys in the strategy that they've decided to play today?
Well, I think that's playing a role in it, but I think that the timing of these cautions has played a role in it too, because honestly, when you look at those guys, they've already made 2 pit stops because they made one earlier under green, and then they all were on pit road during that 2nd caution.
Kurt Busch continues to dominate this race. 1.3 seconds his advantage. But now the man running behind him, not Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart, who knows what it takes to get it done on a road course. Now the runner-up. 55 laps complete. We're right at halfway. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. NASCAR on TNT, watching Kurt Busch dominate this race. However, when we went to break a moment ago, his lead more than a second. Now it's been cut down to 8/10. You see Tony Stewart closing in as they head down through the S's. Jamie McMurray with an eventful day. Started 2nd. At one time was outside the top 30, but it pitted at lap 39 and had things going their way. Here's Inside Tracks.
I don't want to live on pins and needles at the end of this race. I don't care about a green-white checker, you know. We play our cards right, everything looks like we can make it. We can be on the leader schedule now, making it on one more. That's their 2nd stop. We already made our 2nd stop, you know. We're on this strategy. We're on the same strategy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
I've been trying to tell you.
I know.
And they were on that strategy, having pitted at lap 39, but then had a tire going down. He was running 5th, Marty.
And it was a right front flat for Jamie McMurray. You see we spray stuff on it, and the bubbles come out. That's where the hole was, right there for Jamie McMurray. It had 14 pounds of pressure. So now all that strategy that Kevin Manning had set up is all now gone out the window. And now to make it worse, Jamie saying just now on the radio, car is perfect, guys. But clearly they have to make one more stop. Their strategy out the window.
But this just moves them to number 4 on the strategy of 15 list.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take them out by any means, because it just depends on what happens later on. But it takes them off the leader strategy. Yes.
Lap 56 is when he made that pit stop. He was running 5th, now 35th for Jamie McMurray. Bobby Labonte having some issues of his own coming down the hill to turn 4.
Yeah, I believe this is going to just try to avoid Rudeman there on the outside.
A couple of Toyotas dancing together. Now we go back to the front. Told you when we came back, Kurt Busch's lead was down under a 2nd as Martin Truex Jr. picks up another spot. You get the sense this kid's motivated after what happened here a year ago?
Yeah, he's just hoping he doesn't get run into anymore today.
Spin in the early stages of this race, Truex was running 37th, and now he finds himself inside the top 5 and on a pretty good strategy. They pitted at lap 43. They can do this on one more stop. And you can't talk about Martin Truex Jr. at Infineon without talking about Jeff Gordon. He's our Pizza Hut fan favorite driver. Gordon's won here 5 times, and he's struggling here today. And as we see Gordon on track, look at Bobby Labonte.
Caution's out, turn 11.
Yeah, he's got into something incredibly hard with the front of that thing. It was dropping fluid all the way down the front stretch.
4th caution of the day for this, racing with Michael McDowell here off 11.
He just gets turned. Wow.
Yeah,
I guess. Wow. Yeah, just absolutely turned in the middle of the straightaway by Michael. Is that who's driving that car? The 66?
Yeah.
Wow. And Michael's taking out his frustrations from yesterday on this.
Both drivers were outside the top 25. McDowell yesterday driving the 18 car in nationwide competition for Joe Gibbs Racing, led 30 laps at Road America, but disappointment at the end. And as Kyle said, perhaps taking that frustration out on a former series champion. It would appear Bobby Labonte's day is done here at Sonoma. Kurt Busch, the race leader. He's led more laps than anyone. How about 41 of them? Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson joining him in the top 5. Under caution for the 4th time today at Infineon Raceway, and at lap 61, Denny Hamlin making a pit stop, Ralph.
Well, the mount on the track bar is ripped in half, they just said. He's got damage on that left rear, and it was rubbing when he would turn the car. So they're going to make him go back into the garage area and replace it back there.
Denny Hamlin, who led 12 laps today, was running 9th, and now issues for the 11, the most recent winner in the Sprint Cup Series. Casey Mears on our 4th caution of the day, the recipient of the free pass. And our aerial coverage brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Farmers Insurance, coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. It'd be nice to spend some time up there today. A handful of pit stops. We get the green flag. When we return, you're watching the Toyota Save Mart 350 on TNT. On a gorgeous Sunday afternoon in wine country, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series rolling in Sonoma, California. You guys ready to go prime time, huh? Next Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, wide open coverage. It's the Coke Zero 400 powered by Coke. That happening at Daytona, and 2 weeks from now, the first ever Sprint Cup Series race on Saturday night from the Kentucky Speedway. And you can see them both where, Wally?
Right here.
On TNT. Oh, it's almost like we rehearsed that.
I can't.
That's good.
So Kurt is taking the outside this time, or driver's right. That's a little surprising.
Lap 64 going to be complete when we go green. Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson, the top 5, and there's Kyle Busch alongside Jimmy for the restart in the 6th position.
And now that I see why he did it, it's not surprising, because all the speedy drives down on the inside.
Yeah. It hasn't really mattered where he restarted. And I'll tell you who's not been affected by much lately, Martin Truex Jr. Man, he's been good. You got Kyle Busch sliding into 4th, and haven't heard much from Joey Logano, his teammate, the pole sitter today, but he's back inside the top 15, scored 12th. Kurt Busch leading. He's led 46 laps today, Ralph. I'm assuming he's happy.
Yeah, he is. They're looking at going all the way to about lap 71 before they pit. Here's what he's saying about how the car is handling at this stage of the race.
Right now the car hasn't been as good. Seems a little loose with the air pressure out of the fronts on some of the faster corners. It also seems like it's hitting a bump stop harder up front, making us tight in turn 1. I'd say it's better than most.
I would definitely say it's better than most.
I'd say it's better than most.
Here we go again. 43 around, and the 17 goes around.
And this is where, when you're the 17, you can't move. You just
few
have to
more
sit
coming.
there.
Few more coming. Go ahead. All clear.
Matt Kenseth had moved from 33rd and was knocking on the door of the top 10. And now Farmers Insurance blimp giving us this view.
Looks like Keselowski got into the 43, and the 17 of Kenseth, he just turned it down to avoid Allmendinger and spun it out. But you're right. When you're in that spot, you got to wait till everybody goes by until you can get it going again.
Because how many times have we seen a car pull out in front of somebody and just get wiped out? You see the 17 right there to the left, turned down across. He might have got hit by the 20 car right there. He might have cut down across the hood of Joey Logano from that angle. If you see the way his car kind of takes off. You see Logano's car right here in front of us, and you see, yeah, he got hit right in the left rear and just spun him around. And Joey, the track's blocked. Track's blocked. I'm not defending Joey, but
this is on board with Marcus Ambrose.
Right in front of you, stay low. Stay low. Come on, come on, come on, Sammy. All clear, all clear.
Everyone able to drive away, and we do not get our 5th caution of the afternoon.
You know, a lot of that's been chain reaction. That almost looked like the 9 got into the 2 that got into the 43. Kind of the same stuff we had seen with the 11 and a couple of those guys earlier.
Last week's winner still off track in the garage, Marty.
While laps click off, Adam, Denny Hamlin sits here in the garage area. What it wound up being was a Heim that connects the track bar to the track bar mount. That's what broke. This should be a fairly quick fix. You see Spider Gillen inside the wheel well trying to get this fixed. About 8 guys working on this are trying desperately to get Denny Hamlin back on the track, Larry Mack.
Yeah, Marty, what they're trying to do, this is the track bar right here, this blue piece. It connects the rear end in the center of the car, connects to the trailing arm here on the left rear to the frame on the right rear. What it did, it broke this Heim joint right here, and they'll have to change this entire track bar. It's a pretty quick fix, but you know what, guys? They're really lucky it didn't break the mount on the trailing arm, or especially the mount on the frame. That would take almost to the end of this race to repair.
Yeah, regardless, though, he's not going to get probably a top 30 finish out of it. I mean, whether it's a quick fix or not, you're sitting down in 38th spot right now off the track. So you're just going to be out there doing laps unless a bunch of cars wreck. You're not going to have a good finish today.
Yeah. Let's visit strategy a little bit here with 44 laps to go. You got Kurt Busch on track leading. He pitted at lap 32. So it's been 35 laps since he came to pit road. It won't be long until they have to make their next pit stop. Tony Stewart right behind him in second, pitted at lap 34. Right behind them, Martin Truex Jr., perhaps sitting in the catbird seat a little bit right now. His team made a pit stop last at 43. Then you got Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, Jimmy Johnson running 4th, 5th, and 6th. All of those drivers pitted at lap 34. And based on everything we have talked about and seen today, you would think their plan is to do it on one more stop. Marcus Ambrose 7th. Both he and Montoya pitted at lap 48, and they run 7th and 8th on track. We'll likely see some guys on pit road when we return to Sonoma. When Kurt Busch comes across the start-finish line, it will be 40 laps to go in the Toyota Save Mart 350. Round 16 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in 2011. Tony Stewart running second. Martin Truex Jr., who's on fresher tires, running third. Jamie McMurray has had an eventful day after starting second, but right now in the 21st spot. And because of some of the problems they have had to change their strategy. Let's go inside tracks with his crew chief, Kevin Bono Mannion.
Everyone has to pit, including us, one more time. I think what we'll do now, Jamie, instead of short pitting, now we got somewhat clean tires. Lap 60 right now is maybe go a little bit further than we would have anticipated, you know.
Whatever you think. I don't know what's going on. So whatever you want to do.
Just going to get as much as we just got tires on, so we're going to get as much as we can out of these tires, and then make our last run, instead of making it 35, make it 27 or 28.
That's quite a reaction from the driver when you're the crew chief working as hard as you can on the box, huh, Larry?
Well, I'm working my calculator about as hard down here at the TNT rig, and we pretty much know that Kurt Busch, our leader, his teammate Brad Keselowski in the 2 that's in 13th, they're going to be to pit road in the next lap or 2. They'll have to, and that will let them run about 38 or 39 laps then. Here's the problem, regardless of when you've pitted. We know everyone has to make one more stop, like Kevin Bono Mannion said, but I don't think you can sit out there and just run and run and run, because what will absolutely destroy you is if a caution falls in the middle of the leaders making a green flag stop and you waiting to make one.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and what Jamie's basically saying was, you heard at the beginning of the show that Bono and those guys had a strategy. They've had to change that strategy because of things. Jamie can't keep up with the strategy. Jamie's job is to go drive as hard as he can, lap after lap. And then you heard Bono say, okay, what we're going to do is get as many laps on this, as much as we can on this set of tires, and then we'll put another set on. You get as much as you can out of those, and that's Jamie's job.
Well, and then he's out of ideas. Yeah. Jamie is. I mean, it's kind of like, listen, I'm driving my butt off. I'm telling you what the car's doing. We're not making it any better. I'm ready for anything right now, you know, and hopefully a pit stop is going to put me in a better spot than I'm in right now.
Yeah, because I'm out of sequence, and I don't know where I'm at in sequence with everybody else.
Some drivers we need to give a nod to as we close on the final segment of pit stops. Larry pointed out Brad Keselowski, who's 14th. David Gilliland having a good day in 13th. Boris Said 11th right now. And, you know, somebody that's kind of laid in the weeds all day. How about the 9 of Marcus Ambrose? TNT tonight. The team is back. Leverage returns with a new season of Bigger Cons. Don't miss the season premiere tonight, 9/8 Central on TNT. Right now, it's all NASCAR, and here's the leader, Ralph.
Just air pressure adjustments. That's all they're going to do to the car. You heard him say it was coming down a little harder on the bump stops. They asked him earlier to save fuel. He said, "You'd be very proud of me. This should be all they need to get them to the finish here." Chris Williams working the gas can. There we go. They packed it all in, and he's away.
Lap 72, circle that one, because if everything goes as planned, it will likely be the final pit stop for Kurt Busch. Matt Kenseth coming your way, Ralph.
Yep, he's in as well, looking for this to be his final stop. Kenseth is in. They're going to work, packing the fuel in. Coming around for the left side tires, no major adjustments to the car, and he's going to be down and away here in a minute.
I want to make sure and confirm for Denny Hamlin fans, he has repaired his issues in the garage. He is back on track. 39th is where he has scored, 10 laps behind the race leader, who is now Tony Stewart, 1.1 seconds in front of Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Marcus Ambrose, and Juan Pablo Montoya into the top 5, and the leaderboard going to change again, because at lap 72, Truex gives up the runner-up spot, and he will make his pit stop. The last time he came in, lap 43.
That surprises me, because he had the freshest tires.
Yeah, and I talked to Chad Johnson, his crew chief, about that, Wally. I said, now you can stay out until lap 81. Are you going to do that or pit with everybody else? And he said, no, we're going to pit with everybody else. I don't want to get out of sequence in some way where we're put in a bad position, so they're going to get the fresh tires here. Truex said, if you give me a little more forward bite, I can win this race, Matt.
Richie Paul working his game plan, keeping with it, waiting for Brad Keselowski to hit his pit box. 3 boxes away. There is cosmetic damage in the left front corner. He says the car has absolutely gone away handling-wise. It's just not very good at all. Even when he tries to hit his marks, not good. You can see how the hood is bowed up and the damage right in front of the tires. Air pressure change for Keselowski. Trying a little pull tug here. He's full of fuel, and he's away.
Just behind, you see Robbie Gordon making a stop. David Rudiman in for his scheduled service under green as well. All these stops coming with 37 laps to go.
You know, if you look at Truex's strategy was, let's have a strategy to get in the top 5, and then let's jump on their strategy.
Right.
And that appears to be what they've done.
Yeah.
They worked a strategy to get them up and get them in clean air, or get them in a place where they felt like they could race for the win. Now they want to do it head-to-head.
Last year, the talk of the weekend, not just race day, the whole weekend, about Marcos Ambrose. And as he completes another lap, let's go back to pit road. Kyle Busch in, Marty.
Yeah, and he has had 0 complaints about this race car the last 2 runs, so there'll be no changes this time for Kyle Busch, but the fresh tires, that's what they need, and the run to the end a little bit too tight. That's about it. Chris?
Clint Boyer last pitted on lap 33, so they really stretched it on this one. He said these last couple laps, the car really gave up a ton of grip, but other than that, the car's been good. Lots of good grip. Matt?
And A.J. Allmendinger said he absolutely killed the rear tires when he had that spin. Cosmetic damage to the left front corner of his car as well. He said we need a big adjustment on the car. This time they were waiting. He was begging to hit pit road, but they were waiting until their window opened, sticking with their game plan here on the 43. Significant wedge adjustment for Allmendinger.
Lap 74, the number on the board when A.J. Allmendinger came to pit road and made his stop. Tony Stewart continues on track. Told you Marcus Ambrose now up behind him in the 2nd position. Stewart last pitted at 34, and now he gives up the top spot to come in. This stop going to come at lap 75. 35 laps remaining as Stewart comes in. Again, all these stops scheduled and under green flag conditions, and Marcus Ambrose is coming in as well, Marty.
Marcos Ambrose said to his guys a moment ago, he said it's much better at the end of this run than it was at the beginning of this run. So keep the car like this, like it is right now. 4 tires, it'll be a slight air pressure adjustment. That's it to make it better at the beginning of the run. Adam mentioned a moment ago, they have gotten very good at the end of this race. Tony Stewart has said nothing about his race car. Remember, they're better on the longer run. This will play into their favor, Ralph.
Chassis adjustment on the right rear for Casey Kane. They tried to set their fuel stop so that they could get in and out without being boxed in by Greg Biffle. It worked just fine. He's away.
And 14 lots of spot there on pit lane, but they waited to get every last drop of fuel they could in that 14 car.
Yeah, they're one that got fuel. One of the ones that pitted a minute. It's going to hit me here in a minute. I'm not sure they got his car. I'm not sure they got Kurt Busch's car. Was it Kurt that came in? No. Yes. I'm not sure they got. That was a very fast pit stop.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, because there are always reports after a cycle of stops of guys that maybe didn't get it full. And one driver we can confirm that had problems, not a fueling issue, but too many men over the wall for David Reagan. And as we see that, we look down at pit road, and he is making his pass-through penalty now.
Wow, that's a burnout right there.
I don't know if the fuel's in the car, but it's on the pavement, it looks like. Wow. Juan Pablo Montoya, with the stops, has cycled through as the leader. He won this race in 2007 and won the last time the Sprint Cup Series was on a road course. That in August at Watkins Glen. Last pit stop for Montoya, lap 48. Ryan Newman right behind him. He came to pit road at lap 61. David Gilliland now in the 3rd spot. Kevin Harvick's had a rough afternoon. He's now up to 4th, and Regan Smith in the top 5 in the 5th position. But all these drivers will have to make one more pit stop. Kurt Busch leading when this cycle began. He is now in the 12th position, and if everything goes right, they won't have to pit again. All those in front of him, including guys like Dave Blaney, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, Brian Vickers, will have to pit again. David Gilliland, career best finish of 2nd, coming here a few years ago. First pit stop of the day coming at lap 24. And then he was very consistently in 24 laps later at lap 48. And here is the race leader, Montoya, coming in for service at lap 76. Let's follow the stop, Chris.
Juan Pablo Montoya hitting the marks down here. Brian Patty wanting to stretch this as long as he can. They were last in on lap 48. He said, let's stay out as long as we can, just in case we do get in a green-white checker situation. We can do all 3 cycles. But everything right now looking good with that car. Slight air pressure adjustment.
In the never give up at a road course category, Brian Vickers now scored in the 4th position. He does have to pit again. But who would have believed that after that ride he went on over in the hairpin early in this race? Does that look like a race car that should be running in the top 5? If you weren't here earlier, this is what happened. Left of your screen, Tony Stewart getting him.
And he hit the tires a ton. And he's running good lap times too. It's not, I mean, a lot of it's the way everybody's pitting and everything. But Vickers is, he's competitive.
Yeah,
good times.
They are good times. It's not like he's just out there riding around and they've cycled through. If he could get track position, he could still race with some of these guys for 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th.
Now, Kurt Busch has passed some of those vehicles that are yet to make a pit stop. He has worked his way back up to 8th. And Martin Truex Jr. is 10th now. They were running 1-2 a bit ago. And here comes David Gilliland giving up a spot in the top 5. In fact, he was the race leader, Chris.
Yeah, what a run for this crew. They've gotten up front by strategy and some cautions that have played their way. Not a lot of changes in this car over the day. David has been pretty happy with everything. Pretty beat up on the front end. You can see some of the air duct work and removing some of the tape up here. Other than that, the car's in good shape.
This place got a reputation of a short track last year. A lot of guys upset with one another. We know how physical it can get in the latter laps, and some of these race cars starting to look like short track cars. As you see Kevin Harvick, he's inherited the race lead. His last pit stop coming at lap 57. He will have to pit again, as will Regan Smith, Brian Vickers, Jeff Gordon, and Dave Blaney. They are the top 5. 32 laps remain in the Toyota Save Mart 350. NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed and said, we want to ride shotgun with Kevin Harvick. So we go on board via the Evo Cam, and we're not just going to ride with him. We're going to ride with a race leader. Harvick out front right now.
You don't realize, when you watch these guys, and these guys look at their feet, they don't realize they move their feet that much. I mean, you see how he taps, and it's almost like you're tap dancing sometimes when you see that foot cam. Those guys think they're just on the gas or just on the brake, but they start modulating with their ankle, just like you would your wrist. You just start modulating.
Behind you, that's 78. Yeah, and you're pumping the brake, and you're always pumping the brake because when these brakes get hot, they get air in the system, and you've got to pump the brake so it's firm. So when you hit it, see that double tap there? All that is kind of like a security deal to make sure the brakes are there.
Yeah, that double pump is like when you're 8 years old and you just reach out to touch your mom to make sure she's there.
Right.
That she hadn't abandoned
security deal.
It's a security deal. It's in a driver's head. And it's funny watching his feet right here. You can see over his left foot here that little shiny silver thing on the back of his right foot. That's a heat shield. These things still get incredibly hot. The floorboard in these things. We've heard a lot of talk about it over the last few weeks, how hot the temperature is in the car. The temperature on the floor here can get 220, 230, and it's a slow bake. It's like putting a turkey in an oven, man. You just bake it all day long. And you'd leave the racetrack and your foot's burnt, but really it's been a bake.
Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats. Available on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the HTC Evo 4G, only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. So here's Kevin Harvick, the race leader. He's got to pit again, as does second place Regan Smith and third place Brian Vickers. Then we get back to those guys that have dominated this race with Kurt Busch, who is fourth. So now we go through the field, presented by McDonald's. Ralph Shaheen, get us going.
Well, I just spoke to Chris Williams, gas man for the 22, to ask him to make sure if they got the car packed full of fuel. He said, oh yeah, no problems. We are good to go all the way to the end, Marty.
Martin Truex Jr. told his crew, if you give me a little more forward bite in this 56 car, we can go out and win the race. Clearly driving with a little bit of anger behind the wheel after getting spun out earlier, but also one of the fastest cars on the track still. He will cycle in second when all these guys do pit. Maybe he can catch Kurt Busch. Tony Stewart behind him said his car has been very good here at the end of the race, and they are very good on old tires. So this being a long run here for Stewart could play into his favor. Stewart very happy with that race car, Chris.
Juan Pablo Montoya has been saying all day long that he just hasn't had the grip that he wanted. Brian Patty said even though they got the win back in 07, Juan still does not feel like he's very good at this racetrack, typically overdriving the track. They tested last year before they came out. They didn't figure out a good setup, so this week they just spent a bunch of time on the shaker rig. Marty?
Well, for Marcos Ambrose, remember how they came here Friday? They spent 2 days, or twice they went to test road or VIR. They weren't very good when they came here because the tire was through them for a big loop. So credit to these guys. They've really done a good job of making this car better. Marcos told the guys on the last stop, best it's been all day. Now all we need, a little track position. How about the day for Kyle Busch in an accident earlier? And he told me earlier this week, I've learned to treat these road courses kind of like a vacation. Come with a positive attitude, come and have fun, and you'll have good results. Right now, running in the 10th position, happy with the car. Ralph?
For Casey Kane, the challenge is getting up the hill. That's where the car has been very tight for him throughout the afternoon. That's the handling situation he's going to have to deal with till the end of the race today. Marty?
Ralph, how about the day for Carl Edwards? Gave up the trip to go up to Road America and run the Nationwide Series race to stay here and work on this 99 car. When I talked to Bob Osborne this morning, he said if he would have gone, Carl would not have been happy today. Currently, they're in 11th and thinking good position, trying to get to the top 10. Chris?
Well, I spoke with Shane Wilson earlier, and he said last year we had a strong car just like we do today, but last year we broke the track bar because there was so much contact on the racetrack for Clint Boyer. They finished 32nd last year. Today they're hoping to do a lot better. Marty?
A few moments ago, Chad Knaus radioed to Jimmy Johnson and said, we are good on fuel by one lap. Run as hard as you want to. And we talked about how these guys struggled in practice. All those changes Chad Knaus made to the car this morning certainly paying off, Matt.
And Brad Keselowski and Paul Wolf know that there will be some cars that will cycle out on pit stops. They'll be right on the edge of a top 10 finish. What a good comeback for this team, and what an improvement over last year. A lot of effort put into their road course program for 2011. And Ryan Newman, this team in 2011, their main trend is they come back, they make the most of a bad day, and that's exactly what Ryan Newman is doing. Currently in 15, he'll be about 11th or 12th when the other cars pit. And then you've got Joey Logano, the pole sitter. Max Pappas came back from Road America, Larry Mack, to help spot for this young man. He's been giving him a lot of advice throughout the day. He's been hovering up around the turn 7 area. Larry?
Well, the driver I've been watching is right behind Joey Logano, David Gilliland in that 34 car. Qualified back in the 29th position, actually led the race. He can go the distance. And remember, back in 2008, David finished second here at Infineon. And right behind him, I got to believe there's a big smile on David Rudiman's face, because if anybody dreads road course racing more than David Rudiman, I don't know who it would possibly be. He's sitting up there right now running in the 18th position. He may get a top 15 finish out of this. I promise you he'll feel just as good as the guy that wins this race.
Got a new race leader, Regan Smith, able to drive around Kevin Harvick as we went through the field. He won at Darlington earlier this year. He has to make another pit stop, but it's got to feel good anytime you're out front, especially on a gorgeous day like this.
Do that up, show.
I'm back in Infineon Raceway, and yes, that is a live picture.
You know, payback sometimes, well, a lot of times it happens around this place. Tony Stewart just got paid back for what he did earlier to Brian Vickers. And that's the result.
Yeah. Sixth caution of the day. And that is an interesting position. Here is the replay coming into turn 11.
I'm not sure.
Those are the guys just in front of him.
Yeah, but there's Vickers. Already made contact with Stewart.
Vickers had worked his way into the top 5. Had to make another pit stop anyway. So the attitude kind of, what the heck, I'll let him go and then pay it off.
And I can guarantee you that
all clear.
All Vickers has been thinking about since he got turned by Stewart was getting in a position to do this.
Looking for him. Where's that 14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when Vickers got turned around earlier, Ryan Pemberton, his crew chief, was giving him the play-by-play of what happened. Vickers said, I know, I felt it.
Yeah,
One more time.
This is early. Okay, now this is just now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Vickers comes from the left side of the racetrack, or from on your screen comes from the right side of the racetrack across to run in the back of Tony.
Now, this is what happened earlier in the race. As we're on board with Stewart, that's Vickers up ahead. They're going down to 11. Stewart just leans on him and keeps leaning and keep leaning, and just pushed Vickers into the tires down there.
And you know what, really, and Tony, and we've seen this twice, Tony got on him and would not get off of him. I mean, pushed him. We saw it a little later with Joey Logano. There was no other cars around. It was just a one-on-one, and Joey's like, I'm tired of messing with you. I just pushed you out of the way. That took out one car, the car that was messing with him, just like this accident. I'm not condoning and saying it's right or wrong, but by
At least he didn't take 5 other guys out.
I don't want to be caught in somebody else's mess.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to be caught in somebody else's mess. At least Vickers went back and handled this way, and Joey handled his that way.
Right, this has been settled, and nobody else had to pay for it.
And for all you people at home that don't like it, contact NASCAR at boyshaveatit.com, okay?
And it's not over yet.
No.
Because the Stewart can get back and get 4 tires on the ground. I believe he'll be back out looking for the 83.
So this brings out a caution, which is big for guys like Regan Smith and Kevin Harvick, who are making pit stops now. Let's follow Harvick's stop.
They were hoping to pit at lap 89, and they knew if some more cautions would come, that would put them in a decent position tire-wise. They were just hoping to hit pit road before the caution. Air pressure change for Harvick. He hit pit road in the 3rd spot.
Marcus Ambrose, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, all drivers electing to come down pit road under caution at lap 88. See Regan Smith, who was the race leader, also making his stop.
And I think this is what we've been working towards all day, getting track position to get to this point. I think.
Yes, and I agree with that. And then, you know, this drives Larry crazy. This drives the crew chief crazy because everything that you planned all day long, all your fuel mileage, everything you've done, is now we're back.
Even playing field.
We're even playing field.
Yeah.
And as they run now, the top 14 cars on track stayed on and did not pit. Here's the replay of why we're under caution. Vickers and Stewart getting together. Yes, there was some payback at Sonoma. And now time for another AT&T Fastest Pit Crew update. Let's take a look and see what teams have spent the least amount of time on pit road today. And you see it here. Kurt Busch leading this race after those came to pit road under caution. Brad Keselowski, his teammate, looking good, as are Martin Truex Jr. and David Rudiman. Get updated standings as soon as the checkered flag drops today. Use your AT&T phone and text the car number you think will be quickest to 234-567. When prompted, reply OK to receive updates.
Just heard that. Turn that thing off. So what now, Larry? I tell you what. Looking at the 22 right now, you're not going to beat him on strategy at this point. So what do you do now?
Well, I think honestly, Kurt Busch in the 22, and don't take your eye off that 56 car, Martin Truex Jr., because he was keeping pace with Kurt Busch those last few laps. But we're going to have about 19, 20 laps to go, which is eternity here. The guys that I think is going uh-oh are those guys back there like Gilliland, Rudiman, Jeff Gordon, and Biffle, because not far behind them are guys that have brand new fresh tires that's going to be able to be aggressive in these last few laps. As we saw yesterday in practice, 12 laps on your tires was almost 2 seconds of give up. But I think the best friends that Kurt Busch and Truex and Kane and those guys have are those guys behind them before you get the people like Harvick, Montoya that has the fresh tires.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of.
There's a hodgepodge. There's a big mix here.
Really is.
Of tire strategy. We won't say strategy because they're all going to be able to run, but it's where they're at and how they'll be able to run.
Fans, you voted at NASCAR.com/power rankings, and today's Pizza Hut fan favorite driver, Jeff Gordon. Been watching driver 24 throughout the afternoon, and to say the least, he probably disappointed in how the car has been, but the result may not be bad. Right now, Gordon 8th. He last pitted at lap 80, and obviously he can go the distance. Looking for his 6th win here on the road course at Sonoma. And aerial coverage today brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Farmers Insurance, coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. The other thing that's good about this caution from Kurt Busch's perspective, he's saving some fuel. Now, I realize when they pitted at lap 72, they knew they were in their window to go the distance, but we have seen these things formulate multiple cautions at the end, which would mean green, white, checker, and that could hurt him big time, and this is nice for that.
That's probably the only thing they're really concerned about right now and what they're thinking about. But it's going to be, like I said, you look at some of these guys that have fresher tires, it's going to be interesting to see if they can make their way up. I mean, Jeff Gordon's been all over the map today. I mean, he was back at 27th, 28th earlier when I was looking at the board.
Talking about fresh tires, Kevin Harvick, as you see Tony Stewart in the garage, and they are cutting that thing up. It is in bad shape. But Kevin Harvick is 13th right now, and he's the first of those guys that pitted a moment ago that will restart on fresh tires.
So 14th. 13th. All right, so there's your break point. And then between he and the leaders, are the guys the David Gillilands, the Jeff Gordons, the guys like that that are in a little bit
8 laps.
That are 8 laps
better tires.
So you've got to use your tires to get through those 8-lap guys. Right. You're not just going to be able to blast to them to get to the leaders.
Some of the guys back there with Harvick, Montoya, Ambrose, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, all have been good today. At the front, it's Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. 19 laps to go, and they're trying to sort out the running order back behind the leaders. We go green, and Kurt Busch once again lays it on them on the restart.
And they're going to have to start doing a little bit better job on the restarts as far as if they're going to stay with Kurt. Because Kurt has just been smoking them on these restarts today. He puts 10, 12 car lengths on them before they get to turn 7.
Here we got Casey Kane making a move for second here. Oh. Truex just got off. Truex was trying to give Casey a little bit extra room. and just got off the racetrack.
From second to sixth for Truex on that exchange.
Yeah, this is the part where you start knocking into, as we see back there, guys are knocking into each other. I mean, this is the time of the race where you see down here at turn 4 and turn 6 or 7.
Morris said Jeff Burton troubles in turn 4. Not the first time we've seen that today.
No, and these guys will get going. They were both off the racetrack. You didn't see a lot of debris on the racetrack, so it shouldn't be a caution for these two. But this is the kind of stuff we see late in the race. Up in turn 4, up in turn 7, up on that end of the racetrack.
Everything's hot, slippery.
And NASCAR doesn't throw a caution. They let them keep racing, thinking those guys will do exactly what those guys just did, fire up and keep going.
Talked about Casey Kane. He's been impressive today, running second. Top 5 here the last 2 years. He's going to lose a position. Yeah, Carl Edwards.
That's another guy we haven't really
started outside the top 20, and here he is trying to get the runner-up position.
Don't want to get too far out there.
What about that 99, Marty?
What an impressive day for this bunch. When I talked to Bob Osborne this morning, he said, we are flat playing the fuel mileage game. We have no shot to win it on speed. Our only hope, fuel mileage, track position, and they parlayed it. Look at him passing for second, guys.
And let's not
forget. The hard way, too. On the outside going through that left-hander, that's a very, very difficult pass to make.
Yeah.
Yesterday, his schedule to leave here and go up to Wisconsin and run the nationwide race.
Wow, Truex is in there hot.
I think Truex is hot right now after what happened on that restart.
And he just gave somebody a little bit extra room. I mean, he was trying to be, I think honestly on that one, the 4 car didn't knock him off the racetrack as much as Truex just ran out of room.
Talk about guys we got to give a nod to. Brad Keselowski running 4th right now.
Brad has done a tremendous job today from the very beginning of the race. I think we saw, you've seen a couple of different strategies and stuff. He's been up, he's been back, he's been up, but he stayed on the racetrack. And you don't see a lot of beating and banging going on with Brad. He's just been driving a really clean, straight race.
And the 34 Gillen hanging tough up there in 7th spot right now.
Cue him up. Here comes Keselowski to the inside of Kane in turn 11. That's the battle for 3rd. Give the spot to the Blue Deuce.
That's a good move, man. He got down in there and that thing wiggled a little bit. He rolled up off the brake and let it free itself up.
We talked about Carl Edwards and not going to Wisconsin. Brad Keselowski last year running full-time for the Nationwide Championship did make the commute to Elkhart Lake, and that really hurt him here. The track time that he didn't get last season, he finished outside the top 30 in his Sonoma debut. He's been here all weekend this year, and I think it's paying dividends today because he's running 3rd with 17 to go.
And when they interviewed him yesterday afternoon after practice, he said he had worked really, really hard and focused on becoming a road racer and being his road race program. And I'm going to tell you what, he is doing a tremendous job.
Hey, where he's sitting in points right now, you've got every race counts on this deal, because if he could win a second race, that gives him 2 wins. He gets in the top 20. You're looking at the chase.
Yeah.
So all these races are really important.
Yeah,
right
they're
now.
big for him for that reason too. And then you look at the 24 car. If the 24 car wins another race, he's in automatically because of that. But my man here, the 2 car, still has to get in the top 20 no matter what. So if the 24 moves forward, let's just say he moves into the top 10. Brad's the next guy in line. It just drags Brad forward, but he has to be in the top 20.
And he keeps running like this. He's not going to have any trouble being in the top 20.
And how about this? Juan Pablo Montoya, one of those drivers that pitted under caution at lap 88. He's the top runner of that group now, up to 7th.
All clear.
Yeah, Montoya's making some ground up right now.
Right behind him, David Gilliland. Now, Gilliland did not pit in that last cycle. His last stop coming under green at lap 78. Two road course experts right here. Montoya following Jeff Gordon.
And Montoya won't have a lot of patience right now at this point in the race. I mean, he's got a faster car than these guys. He's got to get something. He's got to make something happen pretty quick. You'll see him try to outbrake Gordon down here into turn 7.
Montoya inside of Gordon here. And he grabs the spot. And he's going to go after Kane as well. And keep in mind, Montoya, much fresher tires than these guys he's racing with.
Trouble. Somebody's around there. I can't tell who it is.
And it's going to be Dave Blaney who turned it around in turn 7.
Well, any good that he had on the tires, he just left over there in turn 7. Looks like he may have got some help from Ambrose right there. Just stayed in the gas.
Marcus Ambrose 13th right now. He was a part of that group that pitted back at lap 88. Kurt Busch, the race leader. His advantage 3.3 seconds over second place Carl Edwards, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Casey Kane, the top 5. NASCAR on TNT back at the Infineon Raceway. The closing laps of the Toyota Save Mart 350. Kurt Busch has dominated this race, leading some 61 of the 96 laps. And while we were away, it was Juan Pablo Montoya in the 5th position, Casey Kane in 4th, but not anymore, up into turn 2.
And watch, I mean, there's not a place there to go. I don't know what Juan's thinking. Juan goes from 5th to, oh my God, I'm going to 7th or 8th. What a great move on my part. I mean, that was just a bonehead move. There was not a line there. There was not a place there. There was not a hole. That's not being aggressive. That's not being smart.
Yeah,
is what
like
it is.
I said, it's not, okay, you lost patience. Like I said, he's not going to be patient. Sometimes at the end of these deals like this on a road course, he just unplugs it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Montoya here going to go around David Gilliland for position, or at least try as they come back to the start-finish line.
well, he's going to go through him is what he's going to do.
Yeah, and David's not giving him any quarter right there. David gave him room to get in the corner. If you can pass me, I gave you room to get in the corner. You didn't pass me, and then I drove back past you.
Here's the patented move right here into turn 2.
See,
Still out there. He's overdriving
runs
hard.
it.
Nice and smooth.
42.
I'll tell you, David's fighting the back hard. He's not giving him.
Yeah, he's not giving it, and he shouldn't.
No.
The 42 has cut across that grass and slid up, cut across that dirt and slid up into, and now he's right on him. Let's see when he gets down here if he tries to Rudy
Still
Mountain.
going to be out there. 34. Clear, clear.
That's
good job.
Just taken right there. That's all taken.
Yeah.
Montoya goes through and brings Kevin Harvick with him.
But that was a good pass by Montoya. Yeah. That's the way you should race these guys. Right. That was a great pass by Montoya.
Not go through them.
Yeah.
Montoya now 6th, Harvick 7th, and Gilliland back in the 8th position. And Casey Kane, who got knocked off track a moment ago, we just showed you the replay. He's 22nd in the running order. The lead for Kurt Busch now up near 4 seconds. Carl Edwards continues 2nd. Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Jeff Gordon in the top 5. And how about Jeff Gordon and Martin Truex Jr. together racing for position inside the top 5 late in the race in turn 11.
Yeah, but you're not going to see any trouble between these two guys. Yeah. I mean, believe me, Truex is remembering, and so is Jeff Gordon. So Jeff will race him clean, and I think Truex knows that.
The fans voted for their Pizza Hut favorite driver today, and Jeff Gordon giving them something to celebrate about. In fact, here he goes around Truex for 4th.
And again, you go back, I mean, last year is like Jeff ran into everything. That's normally not how Jeff Gordon races you.
No. Or the way Truex races you. Right. You know what I mean? Truex doesn't race people that way either.
Remember early in this race, it was like, where is Jeff Gordon? I mean, what's wrong with him? And here we are in the late stages, and he's right where he needs to be.
Remember some of the stuff he said on the radio was, I'm pushing getting in the corner. I can't turn into the corner. I can't make my entrance, so I can't make an exit. Obviously, these guys have continued just to hammer and hammer at it, even though they only got a couple of chances to. And that's the one thing you got to think about it. They only got a few shots at fixing this thing.
He's running just about the fastest laps right now out there, if anybody.
Kurt Busch has never won on a road course. He leads here today. He's never won on plate track either. He could cross 2 off his list on back-to-back weeks.
These guys are running awfully hard. And Gilliland went in there and locked the brakes up. I saw some smoke come off his tire, and Ambrose goes a little bit wide, and he may lose a spot because of it.
Yeah, Boyer's had a great day. He's 9th right now in front of Marcus Ambrose, who's the last car in the top 10.
We talk about Gilliland right there. There's Joey Logano right behind Gilliland, those guys. You start looking back through there. That's crazy.
And I don't know that Joey thought he had a car that was going to go out and win the race, even though he sat on the pole. In fact, when he won the pole here on Friday, I think he was the most surprised guy in the garage. But give credit where credit is due. He has managed the day nicely, and he's probably going to get a decent finish out of it.
Yeah, and he is holding off that 48 car. I mean, he's like getting away. There's places on the racetrack that he is a lot better than Jimmy Johnson is with his car.
We told you, Kurt Busch could get back-to-back wins, cross road course off the list, cross plate off the list. That's because next week TNT headed back east to the Daytona International Speedway. Our coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Countdown to Green delivered by Pizza Hut, followed by the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola. And yes, it will be wide open coverage, which means you see everything. It's going to be great, and we look forward to being with you on 4th of July weekend.
We may even get a chance to say a few things during that telecast.
Yeah, we might get a chance to talk. I don't know if we will.
Hog in all the airtime.
Hopefully they'll bring some Coke Zero up for us, so that'll give us a little bit extra incentive to do some stuff, but I'm not sure, man. Have you talked this whole race?
I'm going to tell you what.
He has.
If you guys aren't
Seems
careful,
like
I'm going to get out the duct tape here. You know what I'm saying? We'll start early. You can feel the love on track and up here too. Saw the numbers on Kurt Busch leading 65 laps. When you look at the history of this race, this is that stage when you might see a caution if you look at history.
That's really going to make it interesting because of the different tires that everybody is on right now. I don't think Kurt Busch wants to see a caution right now.
Ralph?
Well, you can see the guys working on Tony Stewart's car. Obviously, Brian Vickers is already back into the race. Both crews have worked feverishly to get these cars ready. Vickers already out. Stewart's car just about ready to go. Neither driver felt like talking. I got a funny feeling, guys, that we might have a Matador in a 14 looking for a Bull in an 83, if you know what I mean.
This is going to be good. If we can get the hat trick. We've already got 2.
Right.
All we need is this last one. We just need this last one. Let's go for the hat trick.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Montoya, Truex. Montoya's on a mission.
And the elbows definitely have sharpened late in the race for driver 42.
And I think Truex has had enough of being banged around at this place. So I would give him a lot of room if I was the 42 right now.
Truex running 5th, Montoya in the 6th position.
Hey, well, Truex's car looks pretty good through this section, and you can see he pulled away from Montoya, although he had fresher tires and looks like 00 Ruderman went around, but he's back in the right direction. He may have gotten some help looking at that right rear.
Could have got some help. That's up there coming at the top of the hill where guys get into each other sometimes. Yeah, Jamie got down on the curb and you saw the wheel hop right there. Oh,
he got him all right.
I'd like to see that again.
Yeah, I think they got together.
Yeah, I think Ruderman was kind of moving in that direction too.
McMurray is 18th now. It's been a roller coaster day for him. There you see Casey Kane trying to rally back from that spin that he had. He's 23rd.
And we go back to McMurray. McMurray was on schedule to be in exactly the same place that the 22 car is on the racetrack. And they had a cut tire. Remember when they had their cut tire? Once they had their cut tire, that got them in a totally different place.
I wonder if he's looking for something.
Do you know anybody in TV that we could ISO this?
I think we need to keep a camera on this.
That is not the new look aerodynamic package at Stewart Haas Racing.
72 Gremlin or the 2013.
And that thing looks like it's going down the straightaway sideways.
Yeah, because he struggled when he got in that corner.
Look at that.
Look how crooked that thing is. Even when he got down to that corner, he had to slow down.
Not sure he's going to be able to maintain a competitive speed.
Yeah. Watching him right here, it depends on where he's going to go. He's
waiting.
Yeah, he's waiting.
He's just waiting.
And
he's waiting for a safe place to pull into or someone into.
But this is, that's incredibly courteous.
Yeah.
He could go and stuff it down in the corner and make these guys run around him on the outside. I think he's figured now that he's got up there, he's not in the best place to be in this car.
You don't think he's really thinking anything else at this point? Really?
I was just trying to.
Are you really thinking that he's just being courteous at this point?
This is TNT. I'm building some drama, dude.
Let's build it the right way. I believe, where's Red Bull car right now?
Should be coming at any moment.
683 is the one on the tail.
Here goes Juan Montoya again. He has really used those fresher tires. Gotten around a number of cars and working on Keselowski. And we did get a report that Tony Stewart let Vickers go.
Well, we were trying.
Yeah, we were trying for a hat trick.
But I'm looking at this. Stewart is 15 laps down. Hamlin 11 down in front of him. positions mean a lot these days when you look at
just
points.
making some moves out there right now. And again, he's on better tires than all these guys.
Brad Keselowski got him.
I was getting ready to say, you mess with Brad, you messing with the wrong person.
Kyle Busch went around as well.
You messing with the wrong person.
Trying to get it going here.
You know what?
Help him get on track.
That 42 had worn the bumper out and tried every shot that he could when there wasn't a shot there. Once again, Watt stuffed it up in that corner where it wasn't a place. Brad gave him a little room, but Brad wasn't taking it that time. Oh, that thing's a little free.
Yeah, he's got a flat tire, I believe.
See? Brad gives him room. Gives him room.
Here, yeah.
Then the 42 forces him off the racetrack. 42 runs over that way.
Yeah.
Just enough, and Brad didn't appreciate that because Brad had given him room.
Yeah.
And Brad's like, tough. See you later.
And you know,
I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's right. But
I am.
What I'm saying is, there's how many laps to go? 7?
Yeah.
It's.
But when you give somebody room
Then you
and
expect
they
them to stay
mess
off.
with you,
Yeah, you expect them to stay off.
boy, there's nothing that makes you more mad as a driver. When you give somebody room, they take it back. It's like, all right, I'm going to give you some race room. And they come over and squeeze you. Forget it.
We've seen some attitude out of some guys today that you don't normally see it out of. Brian Vickers, a little payback on Tony Stewart. We just saw Brad Keselowski getting physical.
I'm not sure this is done yet.
Montoya back in 12th. Marcus Ambrose through that whole cycle jumped up to 6th, and Clint Boyer now in the top 5 running in the 5th position.
These two cars, I'm going to tell you what, the tires on this 34 are gone.
Yeah, and he is driving a good race.
He is
right
driving
here.
a great race. He is just hanging on.
And he's a sitting duck right here,
and
probably.
Juan had so much stuff on his tires from where he got spun, he just couldn't get it wore down. Wow.
Tony Stewart has now called it a day. He's gone to the Sprint Cup Series garage.
These guys are out of tires, they're out of brakes, they're out of patience at this point.
This mess right here from 11th on back.
Oh, this is good. You cannot go side by side through here.
Not through this area.
These guys are really racing hard. I mean, this is great racing for back around what? Talking 11th, 12th, 13th spot right here?
Yeah, we are. We're talking 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th with Allmendinger.
Now we get down in here, and we're going to, obviously, these guys are going to, we're going to see some people pulling out and try to outbrake and probably run into each other.
6 to go. Okay, here's the thing. Tires worn out, brakes worn out, patience worn out, bumpers worn out, everything's worn out at this point in time.
Kyle Busch, he's got that on the bike. He's got a great position and just got a little love tap on the exit. Wow, here comes David with him. I'll tell you what, David is driving right now, man.
He just keeps fighting back. He is driving the wheels off this thing today.
And evidently,
wow, look at all these guys down. You got Allmendinger, Smith is back there, Newman's in there now.
Those are some good cars that David is just out driving and holding off right here.
I mean, this looks like the first lap of the race.
Yeah.
all these guys inside the top 15, so there's plenty on the line here. A.J. Allmendinger's had a good day. Regan Smith we've talked about. Now Paul Menard. Man, he popped Ryan Newman. Good save by the 39.
Good save by both those guys.
There's Mark Martin. Haven't talked about him a lot today.
Mark may have the only car with no scratch on it.
Definitely.
I mean, after looking at this.
Absolutely.
He's back in 21st, so it's not been the day that he would have liked.
Those cars almost look like they run up over each other's tires the way they got up in there a little bit.
All this has been going on back outside the top 10. Kurt Busch has got a lead now, 3.5 seconds at the front over Carl Edwards. And Jeff Gordon is now in the 3rd position. You talk about Mark Martin looking clean. How about this race car? Looks like they just rolled it off the truck. Kurt Busch, no issues at all. 4 laps to go. He has paced himself nicely.
Again, these guys are evidently going
at the back end of Paul Menard and Ryan Newman.
You see, Ryan's trying to block, and the 27 is there, but he's in so hot he can't get it turned. Gets on the brakes, and he slides up into him. Mark hangs the right, goes through the tires, and there's Casey, who's been spun. You know what? When you're Casey Kane and you were the first guy spun, a lot of times it works to your advantage. Because the more people they spin in front of you, the more positions you pick up.
You know, points are going to be a big topic when this race is over, because Kurt Busch could get his first win to make him eligible for the wild card. Then you got Brad Keselowski, who's running a great race. In the 9th position right now, could jump into the top 20, be eligible for the wild card. I mean, Tony Stewart, dropping down today with his issues. Denny Hamlin, Dale Jr. having problems.
I think Stewart or Montoya may have finally run off the tires on this thing.
Let's hear from Smoke, Marty.
At times, the top 5 car today, was that anything other than flat payback?
No, I mean, I probably had it coming because I dumped him earlier, but I dumped him because he was blocking. So if anybody wants to block all year, that's what I'm going to keep doing. So they can handle it however they want. But it was payback. But you know, I dumped him first, and I dumped him because he was blocking. So it's just, I've been complaining about the way that guy's been racing all year, and I like Brian. I'm not holding it against him at all. I don't care if it was Ryan Newman. I would have dumped him too. So if they want to block, that's what's going to happen to them every time for the rest of my career.
You and I were talking about this last week. Is the lack of respect more prevalent than ever?
I don't know if it's lack of respect or guys just pushing the envelope on not working with each other. So there wasn't any reason at the point of the race where he started blocking in the first place. So you know, it didn't make sense to do it, and I'm not going to tolerate it. I don't race guys that way, and I'm not going to let anybody race me that way. So if they block, they get dumped. Plain and simple.
Day ends early for Tony Stewart, and he had a top 5 car, Adam.
24 road course starts, never a DNF until today for Tony Stewart.
And I think the 42, like I said, is finally off his tires. But, you know, and hey, Stewart knew it was coming. I mean, he's not trying to hide the fact that, you know, he figured it was coming. But, you know, it is, you see a lot of blocking going down in the turn 11 because that's the only couple of spots you got to pass here. So people do take advantage of that.
It's so frustrating to run a 1:20 lap and only have one place to pass somebody.
And when you get there, somebody blocks.
Somebody blocks, and you got to wait again. 1:20, and you got to wait again, and it's so incredibly frustrating. But you know what? You got to give Tony credit. He was incredibly candid. Yeah, I dumped him. And yeah, I know he dumped me. And I don't have anything against him. That's just the way it is. I had it coming. And that's the kind of, let me say this, that's the kind of boys have at it that there used to be.
But here, another thing I think in Tony's deal is he's just sending out a message right now.
Yeah.
That, you know, everybody, hey, listen, if you're going to block me, you're going to get wrecked.
And the Ryan Newman reference significant because Tony owns that race car. Here's a good battle for second. Kurt Busch has opened up a huge lead, and he will see the white flag the next time around, but the runner-up spot may not be decided until we come right to the finish. Gordon looking to the inside of Edwards to go to second.
I tell you, for Carl, I don't think, would have never dreamed he'd be in the top 3 after looking at the practice.
No, and watching that pass, I don't think he would have dreamed he would be in the top 3 either. He just pulled to the outside. He gave Jeff plenty of room. I would have never believed when they dropped the green flag on this race that these two guys would be in the top 3.
Yeah.
These two that we're watching right here. After listening to Jeff
15 laps
Gordon,
ago, like I said, looking back at the monitor, Jeff Gordon was way back in the field.
Yeah, and complaining the whole time about not being able to turn into the corner. And as you said a minute ago, he was one of the fastest cars on the racetrack here towards the end.
And he's about a second faster than Kurt Busch is right now. He just doesn't have the time.
You know, I think this speaks volumes for this. We're on the final lap here. I think this speaks volumes for Carl too. He's focused on winning this championship. He had an opportunity to leave. He decided he would stay and work on this thing. Still didn't get it the way he wanted it, but he's driven it today.
I think he'll be real happy with this.
Yeah, the way a championship driver could drive a car, and he knows this is a big statement to the other guys. If I stick around and stay here, you're going to have to think about it.
Another name you may add to the list of those who are thinking championship, the driver who has been so consistent the last few weeks. Kurt Busch and the program really on the rise at Team Penske.
Incredible. So much was made out of Kurt Busch and things that went on early in the year, things that went on the radio, things that went on within that team. But you can say what you want to. He's passionate about driving a race car. He got those people up off their butt, and here he's getting ready to win.
Checkers this time.
3 poles in a row. Should have had 4.
Kurt Busch a winner at Infineon, first of 2011.
Incredible.
Carl Edwards, big jump today, all the way to 3rd.
Boyer in 4th, which I figured he would be a top 5, and Ambrose up there as well. And Logano.
Great run by Logano. Yeah. Jimmy Truex salvages something, comes back for 8th there. I thought Truex had a great car. And Brad Keselowski finishes in the top 10. Great run for him.
Man, Harvick's car got beat up early, and he comes back to finish in the top 10 as well.
That's the Kevin Harvick.
Guys, unbelievable. Appreciate it.
Never would have believed the first win for Kurt Busch would come this late in the season, and certainly not on a road course, a place he had never won before. But today he pulls it off. The Toyota Save Mart 350 is complete at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. Get out the trophy and give it to Kurt Busch. He's a winner in wine country. For the 23rd time in his career, Kurt Busch celebrating victory in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. 11th race winner in 16 events in 2011. And the 7th straight time we've seen a different winner in this race. Can you say parity and unpredictable? And in the category of giving credit where credit is due, back in 2008 when Kyle Busch swept the road course races, winning here and at Infineon, Steve Addington was his crew chief. Steve calling the shots for Kurt Busch today, who gets the win in the Toyota Save Mart 350. It's a long victory lap, but one that you certainly enjoy. So Kurt Busch gets the victory, and right behind him, Jeff Gordon with Matt Yoakum.
Outside the top 20 at one point, the car was plowing sideways loose. Was this a statement kind of day with the way this team salvaged their day?
It certainly was. It was as much a statement to ourselves as anything else. Great effort by this DuPont Chevrolet team and Alan and everybody. It was a struggle. I got to tell you, we really missed the setup to begin this race. I don't know if just the adjustments we made were that good, or the track position plus the track changing at the end. It looked like a lot of guys were really, really struggling with grip there at the end, and our car was actually pretty good. We were fast, and I think we're faster than the leader. So that felt awesome to start there with old tires and be able to work through traffic all the way up to second. Man, that was amazing.
Impressive comeback for the 24. Chris?
Well, Juan Pablo Montoya came for tires late, and Juan, you gave up a lot of track position doing that, driving aggressive through contact with the 2 and the 4. Were the tires the right call?
Yeah, tires were the right call, you know what I mean? The 2 did the same. First of all, the 4 was the first car, Earlier on I got beside him, he knocked me a couple of times, and they just don't give me any room, so it's hard. And the 2, I got in his bumper, moved him a little bit, got beside him, passed him, and he just, plain simple, just wrecked us, It's hard when people don't know how to race in road course and they think they do, so it's okay. We had fun, had a good car. The Scotland shape was amazing today, so it's nice to run good here.
Marty?
Casey Kane listening in on part of that. So he says it was your fault, you didn't give him enough room. Your take on that accident with Juan Pablo?
Oh, I felt like we had a pretty decent Red Bull Toyota. Our tires were really old there, and I just kind of got slow there at the end, and Montoya just drove through me at the top of the hill. That was obvious. But, last year when his cars were really, really good and Jamie McMurray was the man, Juan still couldn't win a race. It shows about what he can do in NASCAR anyways.
So your take was you gave him plenty of room?
Absolutely. I got hit from behind. I just driving into the corner, and he got mad probably because I beat him into turn 1 when he was beside me off of 11. So he got mad and just wrecked me into 2. That's why he got mad. He didn't get mad because I didn't give him any room.
Top 5 run gone awry. Adam?
Yeah, he was running in the 4th position when he got turned around, Marty. Tough break for Casey Kane. No issues for Kurt Busch. He's a winner today, Ralph Shaheen.
Yeah, here he comes out of the car. The celebration begins. He's a road course winner. We'll get him to jump down off the car here, and we'll talk to him. He is pumped up. Yes, sir. Well, he's going to get some hugs and kisses here. All right, congratulations on that first road course victory. While everybody else was struggling, you had an incredibly dominant car. How did you do that?
It was an unbelievable setup. Once we got into the groove with this car, it seemed to get better after lap 5 or 6, and my cars have never done that before. So I'm real proud of this Dodge team and everybody from Shell and Pennzoil. If that doesn't inspire you to go get an SRT8 Dodge Charger, I don't know what is. So that was an awesome handling Dodge. So proud of these guys for really stepping up after what we've been through. And man, we've been on a high these last few weeks.
So many people didn't think you could do a 2-stop race here. How'd you pull that off?
We just had to conserve our rear tires. That was the main setup, and that was the main thought. And once we had enough fuel mileage to make it, I started to pick up my pace. And I didn't want guys to think that they had a shot at us, and so I was able to stretch it out. But unbelievable day. The one thing that I've been pushing hard for all year is when we win with this Shell Pennzoil Dodge, 22 cents a gallon off for everybody that has the Shell Saver card on Wednesday. So you got to get a Shell Saver card by Wednesday and save 22 cents a gallon. That's awesome. So thanks to Dodge and Sprint, Coca-Cola. These guys have been great. AAA, Lennox,
Discount Tire, Snap-on Tools, a whole group of guys that really help us out.
All right, you crossed off a road course victory today. Can you go get the points-paying plate race next week on Daytona live here on TNT?
Man, that's been big on my list over the years, and I really want to get one of those plate wins. Even though we had a good speed weeks in Daytona, I want to go there and get the big July 4th one. So thanks to the fans. This was an awesome ride today, and that backwards lap brought tears to me. I was choked up because that's something cool that's never been done.
All right, 3 poles, now a win on a road course. He is on a roll, Adam.
He is. He laid it on him today. Jeff Gordon with a great run. Carl Edwards, Clint Boyer, Marcus Ambrose in the top 5.
It's like I said, Logano, good run for those guys today. I think they're going to be pretty happy with that, starting on the pole and finishing in the top 10.
Harvick's got to be ecstatic. They weren't even in the race. It didn't seem like, but just kept hammering and hammering, and they bust off another top 10. Kyle Busch gets spun, comes back, finishes 11th, and David carried that car on his back the last 8 or 10 laps.
29th to 12th.
Incredible.
A.J. Allmendinger, our leader on page 2, and Jamie McMurray. My gosh, this guy
I think that's
dealt
got to be
with
the
everything
most
today.
Disappointing, probably, out of the bunch. I mean, I certainly picked them to win this thing today, and those guys just didn't hit it.
But 15th's pretty good when you consider some of the adversities that he went through.
You know, they went through everything.
Ryan Newman, top 5 a lot of the day, finishes 25th. Saul Vickers ended up in the 36th position. Denny Hamlin just behind him. Now let's hear from Vickers, Marty.
Well, I have to ask him the same question I asked Tony Stewart. Was that anything other on your behalf than payback?
Oh, man, I'd love to lie to you, but it wasn't.
Don't lie to me, Brian.
no, I'm just not my personality. You know, I guess Tony told you that he dumped me on purpose, and I know Tony well enough to know he's a smart enough driver that he didn't accidentally drive in there that hard from like 20 back and wreck me. So, you know, I don't know why he did it. I think he told you he felt like I was.
Felt like you're blocking a little too much too early.
Yeah, you know, he may not have noticed, but the 18 was off the racetrack and was coming back across through the dirt sideways, and I was trying to avoid the 18, and I was on the inside of the car in front of me. So Tony was the least of my concern. I don't think it was an attempt to block Tony. But, you know, that's what he felt like it was, and, you know, he sowed his oats and he reaped them. So
when you have done something like this, you say you intentionally wrecked him, he says he intentionally wrecked you. How do you handle it from here?
We'll be fine. You know, it's funny. I found it ironic that our relationship started in turn 11 in 2004.
What happened there?
He wrecked me, and then I wrecked him back.
Well, so this is a repeat of history.
I think it is. Yeah, I guess, you know, just every once in a while, stuff happens. I'm not a scatologist, but it happens.
Is there a growing anger on the racetrack or a growing lack of respect, you feel like?
No. I have a lot of respect for Tony. Are you kidding me? I had a ball at his Prelude to the Dream. I mean, what a great charity event. You know, Tony and I, you know, it's funny. Tony and I race probably better than just about anyone on the racetrack on a week-to-week basis. You know, when I get to him, he lets me go. When he gets to me, I let him go. I'm sure we'll be right back to that this next week. We just had a couple of things to talk about on the racetrack today.
All right, so it sounds like these two intentionally wrecked each other, but it's in the past, and they're going to move forward, guys.
Yeah, and it's easy for us to look at it because we get to see it 100 times. You know, but I don't think Vickers was trying to block the 14.
I didn't think so either. Yeah, and that was Vickers sucked up pretty good right there, though.
Kyle, you've talked a lot about how the points changed this year. Some big movement today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. dropping 4 spots down to 7th. Johnson and Kurt Busch both making some gains today. You see Clint Boyer 8th. Not a lot of breathing room, back around 10th. Tony Stewart dropping down to the 12th position. And Denny Hamlin 11th via the wild card with that victory last week at Michigan. Let's hear from Carl Edwards.
Here to concentrate on this event. How would you describe your day?
We were lucky. Everything went our way today, and I got to thank Will Overton and Fastenal. Fastenal, like you said, we called the audible. I stayed here for practice. Our Ortho Home Defense Max car was fast. Got to thank Ford, Aflac, Valvoline, and Bob Osborne for his strategy. I mean, we really relied on every part of our team. We had great fuel mileage. We used Matt Kenseth's setup. Billy Johnson ran the Fastenal car, and it all came together for a third-place finish, which is great for our points.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
So Carl Edwards still the point leader. 25 markers in front of Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch still putting the hats on in victory lane. A nice celebration for him today. He led 75 of 110 laps, and I would guess he'll be one of the guys we'll talk about next week at Daytona. We're going back to the World Center of Speed. Coverage begins Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, with Countdown to Green delivered by Pizza Hut, followed by the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, powered by Coca-Cola. Yes, it is wide open coverage. Next on the East Coast, War of the Worlds, and on the West Coast, Law and Order. And right now, you can head over to NASCAR.com for the TNT post-race show, interviews, analysis, and more. It's live now on NASCAR.com. Thanks for being with us. For all of us here at NASCAR on TNT, I'm Adam Alexander. So long from Sonoma, California.